Okay, so we'll start. Judge Kiran ma'am, are you ready? We'll, uh, yeah, okay, fine. We'll get started on with the meeting. Start on with the debate. Uh, the Prime Minister, whenever you're ready, please let us know so that we can start the time of this.
Sure, I'll be starting right now only.
Okay.
So, thank you, Mr. Rishabh. I would like to address the judge on the opposition. Today, I shall be speaking in favor of the motion that states that social media must be held accountable for the spread of fake news. Now, firstly, the question is, can we trust social media? See, undeniably, it is the fastest means of spreading news, but surely it is not a reliable one. Numerous times, the truth is exaggerated or an aspect of the whole might be ignored. Nevertheless, the identification of false from the truth at the first sight can be considered difficult. Therefore, social media provides a platform for the spreading of rumors and fake news. Supporting the same, I would like to quote some incidents which are recent and well known. Firstly, fake news was very prevalent during the 2019 general elections. The elections were called by some as India's first WhatsApp elections, with WhatsApp being used by many as a tool of propaganda. As Vice and Alt News writes, and I quote, parties have weaponized the platform and I quote, misinformation was weaponized respectively. Then in August 2019, following the Indian revocation of Jammu and Kashmir's Article 370, disinformation related to security forces, public welfare, lack of supplies, and other administration issues followed. The newspaper quoted a soldier, Ravi Kant, saying, mobs of a dozen, 2 dozen, even more, sometimes with a lot of women, come out, pelt stone at us, and run away. The Supreme Court of India was told by the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta that not a single bullet has been fired by the security forces after August 5. However, BBC reported otherwise. The people were instigated against the security forces and were encouraged to engage in tasks such as stone pelting. The third point is, as a part of the 2016 banknote demonetization, India introduced a new 2000 rupee currency note. Following this, multiple fake news reports about spying technology added in the banknotes went viral on WhatsApp and had to be dismissed by the government. Now, the next point is that imposters posing as army personnel on the social media have been called out by the Indian Army as false news and disinformation. This brings me to the fifth point, that is 2013 Muzaffarnagar riots, which claimed over 60 lives and displaced thousands, were fueled by videos circulated on WhatsApp. It is evident from the stated incidents that the spreading of fake news by the means of social media platforms has caused riots. As in 2013 Muzaffarnagar riots, misconception regarding the security forces in Kashmir, and 2016 demonetization. Character assassination can be seen prevailing in the recent Sushant Singh Rajput and Riya Chakrabarti case, and false propaganda, including the 2019 general elections, having its foundation in widespread false propagated messages on WhatsApp, and 2013 Muzaffarnagar riots, to name a few. Therefore, social media platforms must be held accountable for the spreading of fake news. Thank you.
Okay. Prime Minister, please know that you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to continue or would you like to rest your case?
I would like to rest my case, and if there are any points of information, I would like to take them up.
Okay. You can, since after the 3-minute mark, the opponent team can't ask for a point of information. Your points are being noted. But if there is a point of order or a point of personal privilege anyone would like to raise, they can raise it right now, or we can move on to the next round. Okay. Okay, fine. Considering that points have all been noted, we'll move on to the next task. Can the leader of the opposition party come forth and please let us know when they're ready to start, and I'll start the timer.
I thank the host and the proposition for giving the opportunity for me to speak on this platform. We, as today's opposition, have structured our case as follows. I, as a member of the opposition, will be talking about how social media platforms must not be held accountable for the spread of fake news. Our second speaker will elaborate on why we oppose this. Social media, when created, was a beautiful kind of platform where people could share their views publicly on a certain thing, campaign good, and condemn injustice. It also became useful when unrecognized status gained recognition, when news reached all the people. Social media looked and aimed for a better future. But nowadays, it seems as a thing which deserves to be condemned instead of what it stood for years ago. This is not the fault of social media. It is the fault of some people who are paid to send fake and unrealistic news. On the flip side of negative view created by a group of people, we can see 80 to 90-year-old people reuniting on social media after many years. Nowadays, it is being overused today, and instead of promoting talent, expressing views, it has been used as a propaganda machine only by a group of people.
No, continue. It's just the 1 minute mark.
We cannot hold social media accountable as set in the motion. Nowadays, fake news spreading, brainwashing, and promoting communal violence is not done by social media. It's by a group of people. Nowadays, it has gone to such an extent where people are spreading fake news and misleading millions because of one group of people. We have entered into a virtual social dilemma. The president is ill. They bomb the House of Parliament. All fake. We cannot waste our time on these things. Instead, we can send up paintings, arts, creations. Many people spread fake news and hate speeches, inevitably making people afraid of social media. Just because of a few people doesn't mean that social media must be banned. If there is one pro-Khalistani post on Facebook, doesn't mean that entire Facebook must be banned just because there's one post. It's like saying that if 1 out of 100 students have failed in the exam, the whole class has failed. That's so not true. The social dilemma is popping up faster than climate change. We're not like sheep to follow some unknown person on a platform who's spreading unconfirmed news to unknown people. Statistically, we get to know around that 20% of all social media users have at least sent fake news with the name of post being hashtag attack XXXX or hashtag Hillary living XXXX. It's our duty to be mature and to avoid such content. We, as responsible consumers, should understand that all sorts of news can't be regulated on such a huge platform where more than a billion people are present. We must realize that everything has a good face and a bad face. It depends on us to choose any one. That's it. Due to these reasons, I believe the opposition believes that the motion must fall. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak here. Once again, thank you.
Uh, okay. Moving on to the member of the government. Whenever you're ready, we can start. Or before that, the points have been noted for the same of the leader of the opposition party. Would the opponent team like to raise any points of order or personal privilege? Okay, no. Moving on to the member of the government. Whenever you're ready, we can start the timer.
Yes, I would like to start actually. Thank you. I would like to address the chair and the leader of the opposition. I'm going to speak for the motion, that is why the social media should be held accountable for spreading fake news. Going by the literal definition of false news, it is an untrue information which is presented as news. Now, though the definition is hardly for 4 or 5 words, but the impact it does on the society as well as the targeted audience is beyond measurable. Let me start by giving a very small example. During this unpleasant and harsh times, there was this fake news which got spread on a social media platform, WhatsApp, indicating that the UP government has made bus arrangements to all of those people who are stuck in Delhi and they want to go back to their native places in UP. Now, the migrant laborers were so desperate to go back to their houses because of the reasons we all know that thousands of people, they got gathered on the location mentioned in the message. And of course, it threw the social distancing protocol to winds and posed a big risk of community transmission of COVID-19 infection. Now, let us analyze the above situation first. In order to spread a fake message, there are some basic elements which are being required. That is motive, tools, knowledge about the situation, target audience, etc. And the last is large connectivity. Now, even if you have the first three, but still your message is not going to get to the masses unless you get the fourth one, that is a large connectivity. And that is where social media comes. It gives you a very huge and a massive connectivity. Out of 7.8 billion world population as of October 2020, 3.81 billion people as of August 2020 are active social media users. So just imagine the extent of connectivity that social media provides you with. Social media acts as a link between the creator of these fake messages and the targeted audience. The fake messages are being created in such a way that it looks so persuasive to you that you don't even give it a thought before forwarding it. For example, if I say that Venus is made of cheese, then of course we are not going to believe it because it is very obvious that it cannot be true. But if I say that the density of planet Venus is as thick as the density of cheese, then I think 5 out of 10 people are going to believe it because we are not so sure about what density basically means or what is the density of Venus. And that is where the problem comes. And we eventually become a part of spreading of fake messages on social media. The number of likes and comments on a particular news or a post, maybe it is true or not, that doesn't matter. It also influences other people to believe it. Now, I would like to quote 2 examples which are going to prove that social media should be held accountable for spreading of fake news. There was a message stating that the Citizenship Amendment Bill is against the Indian Constitution as it prohibits discrimination in the name of religion. It was extremely spread on the social media platform, whereas in reality, the Citizenship Amendment Bill is a special provision for those who are not the citizens of India. Therefore, it is incorrect to say that the amendment bill violates the Indian Constitution. However, the stated messages were spread, many believed it, and led to numerous riots generally located in India. Several Congress leaders posted an image that showed an old man armed with a stick and aiming a brick at a gun-wielding policeman. Using various hashtags, these leaders implied that the photo was clicked recently during a farmers' protest against the 3 newly passed farmer and agriculture-related bills. The act was done just to move more farmers and people against the ruling party. After a quick check, it was found out that the photo was actually from 2013 and had nothing to do with any agitation after passing of the farm bill. All these incidents and many more prove that social media should be held accountable for spreading fake news. Inaccurate beliefs pose a threat to democracy, and social media acts as a fuel to fire in this contest. Abraham Lincoln once clearly said, "Do not believe in everything you read on the net just because it has a picture and a quote next to it." Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. The points have been noted. Is there any point of order, a point of personal privilege that the opponent team would like to state? Okay, thank you so much. Moving on to the member of the opposition party. Whenever you're ready.
Yes, thank you. So, first, I would want to thank the host of the proposition for giving me this chance opportunity to come up front and speak on this motion. I, being a member of opposition, strongly feel that the motion must fall. What is social media? Social media are an interactive technology that allows us to share their work on the social network. Social networks are computer technology that allows us ideas, thoughts, and information to be shared by creating virtual communities and networks. But this is how media goes, right? By design, social networks are based and provide users with rapid electronic communication of content. Facebook CFO Wehner says, "We have developed a beautiful technology and now it is not so beautiful because of how people use it." It is true that social media is a beautiful technology, and it's not just that social media is sending fake news or the companies are sending fake news. It's the people who are sending fake news. And of course, people can be regulated. We can't hold social media responsible for this. Social media should not be held accountable for spreading fake news. Here's why I say that. Social media is a pretty technology meant to get people closer and not divide them. It's what those some people have done. All kinds of aids during natural disaster, blood needs, missing people reach all people through the social network on time and much faster than any other media. Some groups of people spread fake news to which is not real and manipulated to divide people and create chaos. It's just those some people and not the whole social media. So some people know that they are affecting billions of people, but their job is to get their likes, views, and money. Sending fake news is revolting. We can't waste our time on these things. Instead, we can use the social media to spread positivity, creativity, and best of humanity. This is what social media was made for. Rise of fake news is terrestrial popular consciousness in one of the remarkable growth. But it's not just the social media, it's the people who are sending those messages, people who are paid, people who are not paid, but they do it for fun. I really don't understand what is the fun in sending fake news. We should regulate those people instead of just regulating uh, social media. We as humans were loved mining because it was beneficial to us. It allowed us to extract minerals. We invented dynamites and TNTs only for mining. But in 1910s, we used it. The motive of TNTs and dynamites changed. We humans have always invented things, and some people always misuse it. We don't hold Albert Einstein responsible for creating nuclear bomb. Nuclear bomb is a very good invention, but how people used it, that matters. So it's there are always two sides of anything. There are always two sides of anything in the world. We have to pick any one of the sides, either good or bad. That's it. Due to these reasons, I believe the opposition believes that motion must fall. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak here. Once again, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Points have been taken into consideration. Would the opposition team like to raise any points of order or personal privilege? Okay, thank you so much. You will.
A point of personal privilege. Can I have water?
Yeah, go ahead. Not an issue. No, it's fine. It's fine. Just drink water and come back. And it's not a huge thing. Tell us whenever you're ready, so we'll start then. So,
I'm sorry, but point of personal privilege, can I also drink some water and come back? It will take less than a minute.
Okay.
Rishabh,
Yes, ma'am.
just check your WhatsApp and tell me if it's okay.
Sure, ma'am. Okay, guys. Let's continue. Opponents all good? Okay, fine. Moving on to the rounds of rebuttal. This is how the process will work. The leader of the opposition party will have 3 minutes to speak, and after which the prime minister will have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, the point of information will no longer be valid. You cannot raise a point of information. All you can raise is a point of order or a point of personal privilege. One other thing, new facts cannot be brought into light when you're presenting for rebuttal. You need to be inside the existing purview and take into consideration of the facts that the opponent team has already been stated, or you want to state things. But no new facts or no new things that's been not been stated in this discussion of the debate is to be taken into consideration. All good? Okay. Let's start with the opposition of the party. Opposition party leader are they ready?
Just a minute.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I thank the host and the opposition of giving me a chance to speak this rebuttal. I would like to start by saying that social media cannot be held accountable for fake news because one person from some unknown place, some unknown country, we don't know whether they are paid or not, and they are spreading unconfirmed news to unknown people. We as consumers should learn to be mature. We are not sheep to follow whatever the social media says. We're not sheep to believe. We can't believe everything blindly. That's why before you're opening your Facebook accounts, they'll ask you your age. And social media has been used for fake news, brainwashing, promoting communal violence. It's only done by a group of people. Doesn't mean that the entire social media can be held accountable. Like social, like nowadays, they're sending lots of fake news. We should be mature, and as responsible consumers, we need to understand that not social media can't go to every single corner of their app and they can't delete every single fake news. First, when fake news is done, it spreads for a few days, then fact check arrives. We need to wait, we need to be mature. As responsible consumers, we must realize that everything has a good face and a bad face. It depends on you. It doesn't depend on social media. And it's like saying that what to say? It's like saying that since nuclear since nuclear vision was done in Berlin, they are responsible for atomic bombs. No, social media cannot be held accountable for fake news. I thank you all for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there any points of order or points of personal privilege which the opponent team would like to take into consideration?
No.
Okay, thank you so much. Moving on to the Prime Minister. Whenever you're ready, we can go ahead with this.
Thank you, host. See, as both the leader as well as the member of opposition quoted that social media has many benefits, but those benefits cannot outdo the damage caused by them. It's like a sociopath kills a person and enjoys it. We do not take note of him enjoying it and just leaving it to that. We do not try, we definitely punish that act. So the benefits cannot outdo the damage caused by social media. Also, the member of opposition quoted that we cannot waste our time on these things. This statement really undermines the seriousness and the consequences these fake news and rumors have caused. As I had already quoted in my speech, there are many riots, many people have lost their lives, there is character assassination, misconception, disbelief, and many such things. It was also said by them that we have to pick a side, and any one side, either good or bad. Now it's like ignoring, that shows that we are ignoring the fake news and all the things caused by that. People are losing their lives and we are just ignoring it. That we cannot let that happen. The safeguards and protective measures should be of such high standards that it should not. Yes, I would like to take it right now.
So in what context did you mean that people are losing their lives due to social media?
Okay. I'm sorry, opponent. I'm sorry, participant, but there's no point of information that can be taken during a rebuttal. If you have a point of order which you would like to state, we'll take that into consideration, but we're really sorry. Yeah, the Prime Minister can continue.
Okay, thank you. So I was saying that safeguards and protective measures should be of such high standard that it should not be possible for fake news being spread on the social media. Laws have to be enacted that make the spread of fake news an offense and punish people who spread the fake news. And also, just referring to the question, I'm not answering, but I would like to clarify that riots have been caused. Enlisting about the 2013 Muzaffarnagar riots, 60 people lost their lives and thousands had to run away and were displaced. So such things are continually happening. There is character assassination and misconception leading to disbelief about a particular person or a group that can lead to many riots, as have already happened in India. I would like to rest my case. Thank you for the opportunity of speaking.
Thank you so much, guys. Points have been noted. Is there a point of order or a point of personal privilege that the opponent team would like to raise? Okay. Thank you so much, guys. With that, we come to the end of this debate. It's really great to have you guys over. I'm pretty sure the judges enjoyed it. Ma'am, would you like to comment on the same and give some views regarding the debate? Ma'am, you're muted.
Yeah, I think a very important aspect would be that maybe there should be a regulatory body in social media which automatically checks fake news, because there is a site which checks fake news. So maybe there can be a disclaimer if any fake news is spread. So I think that would have helped social media be more effective.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. We'll take all your, so we'll have your results coming up on Wednesday or on Tuesday evening. You guys will get your results if you guys make it into top 16. Thank you so much for taking part and best of luck. We hope you like the experience of debating over here. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and it was really a pleasure to be participating. And it was really knowledgeable for me also.
Thank you so much, Happy.
Test that requires all the test takers to answer the same questions or a selection of questions from a common bank of questions in the same way, and that is coded in a standard or consistent manner, and that means that there is a specific answer key that is strictly followed. Secondly, the term capability is also extremely important in this debate. We define capability to be a student's abilities in academic activities or subjects, including abilities or proficiency in extracurricular activities such as sports or debate, and also other psychological traits such as responsibility and empathy and so on. We'll be talking about few main arguments over the course of this debate. Firstly, about why standardized tests are too narrow and limited to be used to consider students' capability. Secondly, why is measuring the capability of a student through standardized tests is not right. Thirdly, we'll be talking about other alternatives of standardized tests, and we'll be talking about the types of non-standardized tests which are better. In my speech, I'll be talking about why standardized tests are too narrow and limited. Firstly, most standardized tests are created for the purpose of mass comparison, such as between students in two states, or comparison among peers in a school, or admission tests or college application tests. Now, how can a test that is centralized around the idea of comparison between two students be used to used to measure or judge the capability of a student? This is clearly not right, because there is a difference between comparison and measuring a student's capabilities. And we want to ensure, and prop wants to make sure, that we are not suggesting comparison is bad, but a test that is made for the purpose of comparison cannot be used as a sole judgment in defining a student's capabilities. This is where we disagree. Secondly, why is it narrow? All students have to take up the same test, including students that had access to that have lack of access to material, or they don't have proper educational facilities, and they're still judged in the same way. All these are not taken into context while judging. And it also affects confidence. Students may exhibit proficiency through other non-standardized forms of assessment, but not necessarily through multiple choice questions or true or false. And although it is said that standardized tests are not supposed to be the sole comparison, even though it is considered to, we're not supposed to take standardized tests as a sole comparison, often in reality, it is used as a sole comparison. It is used as the identifier of a child's ability in a specific subject. So for example, if a student scores less marks in biology, it is often said that, okay, such and such student is not good in biology, even though it is only supposed to be used as comparison. This heavily impacts confidence and overall mental health of any child in general. Thirdly, due to the amount of importance and significance given to these standardized tests, they base their entire all of their future decisions based on the score of a standardized test, like IIT JEE, for example. If a student does well in that entrance exam, it is said that the person is good in engineering. And if the person does not, score good marks in the IIT JEE test, it's said that the person is not good in engineering. So much of importance is given to it that often almost all their future decisions about, going into whatever stream is based on these standardized tests. Once again, we are not saying that standardized tests are absolutely and completely wrong, but what proposition says that other forms of internal assessment are not given half as much as importance as standardized tests. Standardized tests are only supposed to act as a stepping stone to lead the student in the right direction. They're only supposed to show the way, which stream they're supposed to go into. They're not supposed to show what stream, they're not supposed to judge the proficient, they're not supposed to judge the student's capabilities. They are only supposed to give a very basic idea what subjects they're good at. Now, coming to...
Sorry, Akshita, your time is over. Now we reached the 4-minute mark. Were you able to hear the bell? You're muted.
Okay. I thought that was a 3-minute bell, sir, since I didn't hear the multiple rings, sir.
Okay, so just the case of the same for other participants, what I'll be doing is when you're reaching the 1-minute mark, along with the bell, I'll be showing 1 on my video. So you guys will be able to see 1 and 3 so that it comes across. Okay, I thought you heard the bell, but it's completely fine. You've reached the 4-minute mark. Thank you so much. Your points have been taken into consideration. Is there any point of order or point of personal privilege that the opponent team would like to raise? Okay, thank you so much. With that, we'll move on to the leader of the opposition party. Can the leader of the opposition party come on screen and be ready?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Deepika. You can start whenever you're ready.
Okay, so just a minute. Okay, so if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you, said Curiano. Good morning to the judges and my worthy opponents. Today, I, the leader of opposition, am here to build the case for this side of the house. I would like to strongly put that standardized tests are in fact an effective measure to measure the academic ability of a student. Now, before building my case forward, I would like to draw the attention of the jury towards the meaning of a few terms. Firstly, effective. Effective, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is defined as the degree to which something is successful in producing a desired result. Here, I would like to point out that the proposition has used the effective for a synonym of validity in their speeches. The proposition believes that standardized tests are the root causes of all the problems of children in this education system and is very narrow. But, my friends, the case is quite opposite. I will start with my argument. First, objectivity. Our education system is primarily defined by 3 things: a group of students divided in classes according to different academic levels, a definite curriculum, and a standardized testing mechanism. These groups of students sit together in a class, read the same books, and are at the same academic level. So does not the proposition think that there should be a same test for all of these students, a same test so that everybody is assessed according to their academic level? A standardized test answers these problems, and this is the main flaw or loophole in the statement of the proposition. These students deserve a medium, a platform which show how well they've grasped whatever is taught in school. How well are they in that particular capability? Here I would like to mention another interesting definition of capabilities. Capabilities are used to mention a particular ability, and the standardized tests only that particular ability of a student. There is no standardized assessment to test the overall capabilities of a student, but particular focus areas such as aptitude tests designed for maths or scientific theories and principles. So I want to question, how does a standardized test meant for a particular subject suppresses and diminishes the other non-academic interest of the student? I want to question how a standardized test for reasoning analysis kills the creativity of a child. In fact, it is in the interest of the student because of a standardized test shows the strong points and the weak points of a student that helps him self-assess himself. Standardized test helps him bringing out the best of him. And how is he so sure of his capabilities? Brings us to my next argument, comparability. A standardized test creates a median value of scores according to which a student can estimate where he stands across all the children of his academic level. The median score sets a bar for the students to strive and achieve. Now, I would like the proposition to ponder over the idiom set the bar high. How in the world would the students will set a bar if there isn't any to set? Let's consider the situation when there is no standardized testing. Each school would assess the students in their own style, which would be based on their judgment and other areas of child's personality. First floor, a child is assessed for math aptitude on the base of the other areas such as behavior, discipline, and the teacher's judgments, which can be very well be biased. Second floor, the student would never be able to get an estimate of where he is lacking and where he needs to work on, and this can have a negative impact on the child when he'll enter the real competitive world outside the protective realms of the school. This also brings me to the last argument of my case, unbiasedness. In a country like in India, which has been burdened by the brunt of poverty and the disadvantage have suffered for many long centuries, standardized tests are the only method for them to prove their ability, their aptitude, and themselves as worthy of the scanty jobs that India has to offer. This unbiasedness helps to bridge the gap between the disadvantaged and the advantaged in two ways. Firstly, the examiner would never know who the exam taker is. Secondly, the absence of standardized testing will promote the rich in their elite and renowned schools to go forward for prestigious colleges, and the poor would remain backward in the poor schools, thus making it impossible to fulfill the ideals of quality. Another interesting point to note would be today more than half of the students depend.
Sorry, Gitika, your time is over.
Okay. Can I just finish this sentence?
Okay, go ahead.
So today, more than half of the students depend on scholarships, and the performance in these standardized tests is the only way they're eligible for the scholarship. So does the proposition has the answer to this? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Were there any points of information?
No, there weren't any points of information.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the point have been noted. Thank you so much, leader of opposition party. Are there any points of order or points of personal privilege the opponent team would like to state? Okay, thank you so much. With that, we'll be moving on to the next speaker, who will be the member of the government. Whenever you're ready, we can start the presentation.
I am ready, sir. Can I go on?
Yeah, go on.
So first, I would like to start my speech with rebuttals. Taking the points that the leader of opposition has stated into consideration, few main arguments arise. So, as proposition stated, all these students are given the same amount of materials, they're taught in the same way. And why are standardized tests going to hinder the students from learning if they've all been treated equally? This is where I differ. Some students might require more attention than others, and some students might learn visually, while the teachers who are aiming to teach equally do not. They favor some students accidentally, as only a few students will understand the exact way the teacher teaches them. Some students might require more attention in certain topics or more visual aid in some topics to completely understand them. Second of all, we agree with Prop where they say that aptitude tests and theory tests are good for the child in understanding where they're going wrong and what type of interest they should take. Well, the point we're trying to make is this is all right. But what we differ with is that standardized tests shouldn't be the end of the student. They shouldn't be the final assessment of what the student's capabilities are. Rather, standardized tests should show the students where they're supposed to go. As the Prime Minister mentioned, they are stepping stones, and criterion-based tests and non-standardized tests should be the way students' capabilities are measured. This moves me on to my constructives. My arguments are measuring the capability of a student through standardized tests is fundamentally wrong. When a future of a student is completely based on standardized tests, it jeopardizes their aspirations. Peer pressure induces stress, and so does scoring a low mark. It will make them lose their will to try and progress further in their life subject, as standardized tests are considered as an end now, and instead pushes them into something that they don't like. Standardized tests do not measure the complete understanding of the subject, but rather how quickly they can memorize a certain subject and retrieve the information. While we agree that the skill is useful, but usually those who excel in that subject are people who have a thorough understanding. A doctorate that is considered the epitome of learning of a subject is achieved only through understanding and not memorizing capability. Going and learning a subject that they do not like doesn't let them function properly, and it doesn't give them the satisfaction of having achieved anything either. We propose alternatives such as subject-based interviews that measure through criterion or pen and paper tests too that are corrected by criterion and measure the understanding of the concept rather than how much of a resemblance it bears to the answer key. Yes, that is my speech.
Okay, thank you so much, presenter. Uh, we still have you still have 1 minute and 20 seconds left. Would you like to continue or would you like to rest your case? Okay, let's consider that he's resting his case. Is there any points of information that the opponent would like to raise? Because you still have 20 seconds left. 10 seconds. Okay, thank you so much. There won't be any point of information. Are there any points of order or points of personal privilege that the opponent team would like to raise? Okay, moving on. Can we have the member of the opposition party ready on screen so that they can present?
Thank you so much, judges. So I would like to start with an example. Suppose you're standing on the starting line for the race, getting ready. But when you line up, you realize that there is something wrong. Everyone has a different starting point. Some people are only a few feet from the finishing line, while the others are far, far away. What gives? Your race does not have standardization, which ensures that everything is the same for all the participants. You might be thinking, but a test isn't a race. How can it be different? Think about this. Intelligent tests are being given out to all the people all over the world all the time. Also, there is not only one person giving them, but many, many people. Now, let's take another example. Imagine that you take an intelligent test that that is given to you by a person X. A nice woman who hands you over the test tells you that you have an hour to take it and then walks away. You're left to figure everything out on your own. But imagine that your friend takes the same test, but this time it is given by some person named Y. The Y person gives your friend a hint when he can't find the answer. She also lets him take a look up to the online up to Google. So what if your score is just the same as your friend? Does this mean that you are equally adept? No, because you did not have standardization. That is, the test you took was harder than your friend's test, even though it had the same questions, just by the virtue of the fact that you didn't have the same help that your friend did. We may say that although controversial in its application, standardized testing is an important tool for teachers, administrators, and education officials as it is created, administered, and scored in the same way for all the students in order to obtain an objective picture of student, teacher, school, and district performance. Whether you agree or disagree about the effectiveness of standardized testing, it is hard to deny that these tests are important for several reasons. The first reason these standardized tests are important is because they are excellent objective indicators of students' performances. These tests are designed to measure how well the students learned the skills important to meet the state standards. Secondly, the standards help ensure the students across the classrooms and states are learning the same skills at the same time. For example, one student of class 5th isn't going to be doing complex algebra while the other is still working on addition and subtraction. Standardized tests, when paired with the federal states or the state standards, can show if the students are in the track of learning what they need to at a certain level. These tests show that the students are academically compared to their peers where benchmarks say that they should be and help the identity what skill gaps they have. A standardized testing is optional and has low participation. Low performing students could face encouragement to stay home on the test days and be victims of their unfair practices in an effort to improve a school's test scores. Academic assessments are designed to measure student learning in core subjects so parents and teachers can have a clear understanding of the progress against academic goals. After viewing all these benefits too, some of you can argue that the teacher's grades are sufficient, but in reality is the teacher grading practices can be wildly uneven across the schools and even within them, as one math teacher might be an extraordinary lenient grader while the other might be brutally hard. Getting an A means something very different. Teacher grading can be subjective in many other ways, including favoritism towards one certain student, and it can find its basis in non-achievement factors like classroom behavior, participation, or attendance. But when students take a standardized exam, a much clearer view of academic mastery emerges, making sure that every single person gets the test under standard conditions. So, I strongly believe that while standardized exams are not intended to replace the teacher grade book, they do provide an objective, summative assignment of student achievement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Presenter, we had a point of interest in the middle. Would the opposition party, would the Prime Minister come elaborate for the question?
How would the opposition differentiate between a student who has taken a standardized test through rote memorization and a student who has thoroughly understood the subject and taken a standardized test? And both of them get the same marks. How would they differentiate the level of understanding?
Ma'am, I would like to answer your question in the upcoming speech.
Okay,
Okay.
fine. Points have been noted. Is there a point of order or a point of personal privilege that the presenters would like to take? Okay, thank you so much. Moving on. Okay, so we've done with set one, I guess. All the participants have spoken. We'll move on to set two, which is round of rebuttal. Now, let me just confirm one thing, that the rebuttal rounds will have 3 minutes per presenter. Point of information would not be taken into consideration at all. When it comes to the rebuttal rounds, there'll only be a point of order and point of personal privilege to say. I'm sorry, just 1 second. Aditya, is it okay if you can just go out of camera? Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, coming back to our statement, we would like to state that there won't be any point of information. Will only be a point of personal privilege and point of order that you guys can that the opponent team can raise during the rebuttal. No new facts can be taken into consideration. Only the old existing facts can be put in place, and I think that's good to go. We'll move on with the leader of the opposition party to start with. Whenever you're ready.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd like to start my rebuttal with a quote by Einstein, that Einstein said that everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is true. And standardized tests are the turning point in this, because it tells the fish that you were born for swimming, not for climbing the tree.
Okay. I'm sorry, presenter. We're not able to hear you. It's very muffled. Can you please start from the beginning? It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess the network is still low. I'll just leave and join the meeting again.
Much better. Now it's much better. Just keep the microphone or something near your. I think that'll work. Now it was much better. Okay.
Okay. So, is it audible now?
Yeah. Clearly audible. Go ahead.
Okay. So I would like to start my rebuttal with the quote from Einstein. Einstein said that everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. And standardized tests are the turning point in this, because it tells the fish that you were born for swimming, not for climbing a tree. And I'm not saying that standardized test is the magical solution to all the students' problems, but the best we have, because the proposition has failed to mention any alternative which is capable of replacing the standardized test on a national level. Now, let us look at the stakeholders. The various stakeholders in this are the parents, the students, and the teachers itself. So, the students want to get the best education and want to prove themselves as the best across the world because of this globalized world. Now, if they want to prove themselves best, they need to have a same test, a standardized test, so that they can be comparison, so that they can show that they are the best. Now, if we look at the parents also want that the students get the best education. And now, how are we going to compare different schools on the quality of education they give on the basis of the standardized test results? Now, in India, if we take the example, the AISSC exam or the 10th board, which we say commonly, schools are compared on the basis of the result they get in this exam. Although it is mentioned for different subjects, but it also holds the school accountable for the quality of education which they have provided to the children. If a student, the school performs well, then it's a good school, and the parents also want their children to go to that school because the education is more better, the results are more better. Now, next stakeholder, if we talk about, is the jobs in the competitive world. Okay, if we agree with the proposition for one time, that there are no standardized tests, but if we move forward from the realms of the school and go into the competitive world, would the job seekers or the employers also seek the same? Because they want the best, the very best. So they need a standardized test, and they are going to use standardized tests even if the student has not been through the standardized test in his school years. So the job seekers also want the best. To prove them the student best, standardized test is the only solution. I'm not saying, again, I'm saying it's not the magical solution, and standardized tests are always open to developments further, to make it more student friendly, to make it more appropriable for the students as well as the teachers, and to shun off any biasness and unaccountability that happens. But standardized tests cannot be killed or removed completely, because they are the main area of the education system. If we remove standardized tests, we are somehow changing the education system on a whole, which we are not ready to do yet. So here I rest my case, and I also say that this motion stands fail because there is no other alternative to the standardized test which is that capable of replacing at the national level. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there any point of order or a point of first privilege that the opposition team would like to state? Okay, thank you. Moving on, the points have been taken. Moving on to the Prime Minister, whenever you're ready.
There has been a gross misunderstanding of the motion by the opposition. Proposition never talked about eradicating standardized tests. We said that standardized tests can be used for comparison, but it cannot be used for measuring a student's ability. And also the motion talked about measuring a student's ability. It never talked about comparison. In all of their arguments, opposition talked about how it is the best comparison material, how it's the best way for comparing students. They never answered our doubts about the faults it has in measuring the students' capabilities. They never answered that. And secondly, they were contradictory in many places. They told a quote of Einstein about a fish climbing a tree and how it's wrong. That is exactly what a proposition is selling. All students are of all different types. That is, they can be considered as different animals, and standardized test is the tree, can be considered as the tree. So when you want different animals to climb a tree, it literally makes no sense, and they were self-contradictory in their argument. By even telling that quote, they were contradicting themselves. And secondly, once again, they kept telling stuff like how proposition said that standardized tests are not necessary and they have to be removed. But once again, we agreed with opposition many times by telling we are never saying standardized tests are not necessary, or they are extremely wrong, or they're they're useless. We never said any of that. All we said that there are better mechanisms for testing capabilities of students than standardized tests, such as non-standardized tests, and we gave examples of non-standardized tests also. Thirdly, they talked about all students in a running race, and there's a finishing line and equal judging. We never talked about cheating in non-standardized tests, and that argument literally made no sense since they were talking about a running race. It didn't make sense at all. And they once again, they never answered the point of information about the difference between comparing students and measuring the capability of students. In all of these places, opposition didn't manage to give a proper reply or rebut properly, and proposition clearly gave arguments that prove their point that there are better mechanisms of measuring the capability of students than standardized tests. We talked about how they are not accurate, and you can't differentiate between a person who has studied, who has completely memorized, and a person who has understood the topic well. Here also the opposition didn't manage to give a reply when they said that when a person takes a standardized test and scores a good mark, it means that the person has understood the subject thoroughly. People can easily memorize and standardize tests due to the exact same answer key. You really can't differentiate between a person who is understood and has received good marks, and others who have just memorized everything. That is one point. And then we also said that student, and also in standardized tests, teachers tend to teach students for getting good scores in standardized tests more than teaching the subject.
I'm sorry. Thank you so much. Your time's up.
Okay.
Points have been noted. We had a lot of hands raised. One for the previous debate. Can we know who raised their hands? You can just turn on your audio. Yeah, Gitika, I see that your hands are raised. Can you please come on audio and tell me what's up?
Yes, so can I answer the questions raised by the proposition
When?
So
right
as
now
a
in this debate?
Oh, this debate. So this rebuttal, you want to answer the question that is according to this rebuttal?
Yes, sir.
No, Gitika, I'm really sorry that there's no point of information or the round ends here. You cannot cross question.
Okay.
The only thing that you can put across in place is a point of order or a point of personal privilege. If you have anything in terms of points of order, yeah, Rashi.
Yes, sir. I would like to answer the question asked by the Prime Minister in the previous debate that I had. So, actually, she asked that if the person has the complete understanding of the topic or not. Like, so how do we get to know about that? Okay, so by putting up various examples from the life around, we'll clear up whether the person has the clear understanding which is required. Also, the language used gives the idea and the understanding, and the points copied or crammed are also not organized well. Like if the person is asked, like, give the examples from your life around, would the person who has crammed or memorized it really well be able to give the examples from the life around? No, he would not. But the person who has the complete understanding of the topic would be able to relate it with the life and would be able to answer well. So that is how we get to know whether the person has a better understanding of the topic or he has memorized and crammed the thing.
Okay, thank you so much. You've taken that into consideration. Just give us a few minutes. We come to the end of this debate. All points have been noted, and we'll let you know regarding the results. Please give some time for the judge to mark your score, and she'll come back to give you a yeah, ma'am, if you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a very interesting debate, and you all made it very interesting by your point of views. But I would like to give you a few suggestions on how you can improve your performance, and also what was the valid points for each contestant. So I would say that I felt Akshita's information and her context was very correct. So her the points that she's enumerated are very valid, and they have a lot of gravitas. Her improvement would be in the way she renders her debate. I think, Akshita, you need to articulate yourself a little more clearly. So that's my suggestion to you. Can you hear me?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Then I feel, Aditya, you need to make your information more concise, and your delivery also has to be more articulate. Now, Rashi and Gitika, you both are very articulate, but your point of views are very controversial. They're contradicting. So the examples that you're giving are not bringing forth the what you want to say. So you have to research on your examples are extremely confusing. I mean, why would a fish be tested for anything but swimming? That's the standardized test. So it's just not it's not very clear what your examples are. And for all of you, I think you need to be more concise, and you need to have done a little more research. For Akshita and Aditya, you need to understand that standardized tests are not valid because the learning skills are different in people. You have kinesthetics is learning, you have audio as learning, you learn with a writing skill, you learn on a listening skill. So standardized tests won't work because people's learning skills are different. So that could have been a very valid point for you. So, I think you need to put your pros and cons extremely precisely. For instance, I think Rashi, your points just mumble into each other. You've got to make them more concise. So that is what my feedback for all of you is. So
We'll surely work upon it, ma'am. Thank you so much.
yeah. So have your pros and your cons. Put a line in the middle and put down all your 10 pros inside that. Put all your 10 cons into it. And then when you decide to talk, that should be extremely clear in your point. You just can't keep rambling. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
But all in well, all said, it was a very interesting debate. Thank you so much.
I'm sure it was, ma'am. Thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you so much, participants. We'll notify you regarding the results if you made it into the best of 16 on Tuesday night. Until then, take care. Have a nice weekend. Stay safe. All the best. You can leave the chat.
Thank you.
I welcome you to the Compass Online Parliamentary Debate. It's really great to have you young, bright minds over on our platform to compete and debate over things that will create an impact down the line. I'm pretty sure you guys will enjoy this debate a lot. It's going to be really informative, and I wish you all the best. Before we move on to the introduction of your judges, and I would like to take you through the instructions of the debate just to go through how the process works and regarding some points, and we can go about to the same. Okay, so now coming to the instructions, you all know how the process works. The 6-round debate divided into 2 sets. One is the presentation set where you give out arguments, and the second is the rebuttal set. Okay, the first, it starts off with the Prime Minister, moving on to the leader of the opposition party. Next, coming to the member of the government, after which the member of the opposition party will speak. After, for rebuttal, you have the leader of the opposition party speaking first, ending with the Prime Minister. Now, with the first set of argumentative rounds, you have 4 minutes for presentation, and for the rebuttal rounds, you have 3 minutes for presentation. Okay. There are other 3 points which I'd like to explain just in case. One is point of personal privilege, in case you want to drink water or you want to go to a washroom, or your internet connection is bad and you want us to pause for a minute. You have the privilege to ask for the same, and we'll pause the timer for you. You'll have enough time to set everything up and come back in. So the second point is the point of order. Say if the opponent team is making a statement that's factually wrong, you can call out a point of order after the presentation is over. I will ask if anyone have a point of order or point of personal privilege. You can come on screen and you can let us know about the point of order if you found anything to be factually wrong. The opponent team cannot address it back. It will only be on the purview of the judge to consider it or not. Okay. Now, finally, we have the point of information. This is where you get to ask questions. So now in the first set of presentation, where in 4 minutes, you can ask questions, you can raise a point of information after the first minute and before the third minute. Okay. If you ask a question, you need to ask a question by raising your hand. Okay. Since you guys are all on video, the opponent will either be able to see you, or I'll be ringing this specific sound to notify that a point of information has been raised. Okay, so this specific buzzer sound would be played to notify that the point of information has been raised. On the other hand, for the 1 minute, to denote the 1 minute mark and the 3 minute mark, I'll be showing the numbers 1 and 3 on video. But apart from that, you'll also be hearing this specific sound to denote the same. Okay. So for the presenter, this is, or for the people, debaters, this is the 1 minute mark and the 3 minute mark. Okay. You cannot ask a point of information before the 1 minute mark, and after the 3 minute mark, it won't be taken into consideration. And finally, after the 4 minute mark is over, or after the presentation time is over, this is the sound that will be played. Okay. I'm pretty sure you guys were able to hear that. So the bell sound will be heard, and you guys have to stop making your statement at that point of time, no matter what. Okay. Is there any questions which you'd like to ask me? Okay. Thank you so much.
Sir, am I clear now?
Yeah.
Is it clear enough? Cool.
Thank you so much, Aditya. Okay. There's this one other thing which I'd like to let you guys know, that when it comes to a point of information, please raise your hand. Okay. And the opponent team, if you're able to either hear the buzzer or please notice if you're able to notice that someone else is raising the hand, please say yes, you will take it now, or you will take it after your speech is over. If you say yes, you will take the question now, we'll stop the timer at that point of time and you can answer the question, and you then we'll start the timer again for you to go back to your speech, to making your statements. But if you say no, you would like to continue with your speech, after your speech, after the 4 minute mark, you will have to come back to answer that question. Okay, cool. Now with that notice, I would like to introduce the judge for today. Now we have Mrs. Kiran Rai over here. Ma'am, it's an honor to have you. Ms. Kiran Rai is the author of the Sacred Indian Tarot, Cupidly Ping Me Love, and founder of the Arte India. She's a renowned author, an art curator, and an independent scholar of the Vedanta. Ma'am lives in New Delhi with her husband and son, where she seeks to lead a life of holistic balance in her mind, body, and spirit space. Ma'am is a recognized figure in the literary community, a debater herself when she represented her alum MGD in multiple debates through her school life. Having worked in some of the top communication companies like Mudra Communication, Enterprise Public Relations, and the Ministry of External Affairs, Ma'am has been invited to adjure debating rounds in reputed institutions across the country. It's an honor to have you, ma'am. Thank you for coming over to judge our rounds as well. I'm pretty sure you'll have a nice time.
Thank you for having me over. All the best. I look forward to hearing all of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. With that, if the Prime Minister is ready, we can get started with the debate. Prime Minister?
Yeah. So, good afternoon, everyone. The Prime Minister would be raising the motion. This House believes that standardized test is not an effective way of measuring the capability of a student and would be speaking in favor of the motion. There are many debates regarding the focus point on the standardized uh, test taken for the children so as to judge their capability, their caliber. But the point is, if we, for an instance, consider that these tests are a better or maybe a currently best way for conducting surveys so as to see whether the children are working well with their things or not, but then why would there have been so many suggestions, alternative suggestions regarding the thing, plus so many arguments against it? Basically, these tests can tell you how weak you are or the points, the topics where you weak are so that you can work upon it. But these tests can never tell you about your strength because it's equally important to improvise your strength, to improvise yourself rather than just working on your weaknesses. And so well said by a very famous author that knowledge, experience, and intelligence is something that can get you a job, but your communication skill is what can get you a promotion. If we go deep thinking over to it, and we just go and relate it to the system that we're following right now of the test, basically the test can provide us with our memorization power to improve our memorization power. But if we look on to the holistic skills for a child, or maybe the communication skills, the listening skills, everything that is really very essential to build up the personality of a particular individual are really not considered within these. And definitely, intelligence is nothing until and unless you can't bring it to practice. What is the point of having your knowledge if you can't just go and speak in front of the public? You cannot judge a child by just his or her grades, just the way you cannot judge a book by its cover. Our skills, our way of thinking, our way of learning is what defines us, not the grades that we just get in simply an exam. Because being a student, I know, and I know that you are also students and could feel the same, that exams are really a kind of pressure for us because it's always like nobody cares if we are understanding things or not much, like the parents, or maybe I'll be addressing to the question after my speech. So nobody really cares what we are understanding or what we are good at, but more on what we are getting as the grades. What it's not necessary to be an A plus all the time or to be a good one or just score 90 above, because that is not what is going to define you. We have our marks until we need admissions in great universities or maybe, but after that, when we have to go on for jobs, when we have to go on giving out interviews for certain things, they would never ask you how much you scored in your exams, how much you scored in your entrance, or how much you scored in your boards. But they're going to ask you maybe how many times have you ever spoken in public, maybe in front of a crowd of 200 people. And most of the students are blank at that time, because what currently is the main focus of education system is just the rote learning process, whether the children are able to memorize things or they are able to write down the exams and get good grades or not. Imagination matters much more than the knowledge, because knowledge is something that is written and understandable to the whole world. But
Uh,
imagination is something that can take us beyond. It could take us beyond to the world, to the limits.
I'm sorry, Prime Minister. The time is over. Points have been noted.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Would you like to take your POI now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The opponent can state the question.
The Prime Minister in her speech had stated that standardized test only focuses on weaknesses and not on the strengths of an individual. But isn't that the main purpose of a test, to find out what your weaknesses are, so that to decide whether you're fit to answer to take up a position?
Okay, so according to my point of view, I would tell you that tests are not just meant to tell you your weakness, but even to show you where you are good at, so that you can improvise it in future, you can use it where you want. Let us take for an example, what I feel is a better way of taking test is that not only the written exams what we have, but marking a child on the basis of his communication skills, listening skills, and maybe many more holistic skills that are really very important for your persona. And then it could be like, it would boost your confidence and excel you in your strength. But what matters is this thing, not whether you score good or bad, because exams would tell you your weakness. Maybe you're not good at sciences or you're not good at maths, but could it tell you that you're maybe a good debater and you should pursue it? Would these sort of exams that we are having till date help you out with that?
Okay. Thank you so much. Point have been taken. Is there any point of order or point of personal privilege that the opponent team would like to raise? Okay. Thank you so much. With that, we move on to the next speaker.
Sorry, a point of privilege.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Could I just get a word store to join myself?
Go ahead. All good? Okay. The leader of the opposition, you can start whenever you're ready.
In a world where people fight for equality, justice, and freedom from discrimination, should standardized tests, which provide a common ground for evaluation of a person, be done with? A very good morning to everyone present here. I am here as the leader of the opposition to strongly oppose the motion. This House believes that standardized tests are not an effective way to measure the capability of a student. Firstly, before moving on to my constructive speech, I would like to define what a standardized test is, since it has already not been done by the proposition. A standardized test is nothing but a test for evaluating the performance of a person based on a common ground and providing equal information for comparison. Moving on, I'd like to provide the team split where I, as the first speaker, would say how standardized tests give a common basis and are effective, and how individual judgments do not provide a common ground for evaluation. And my second speaker would be elaborating more on the personal biases that come up in individual judgments, and how non-standardized tests have loopholes in them, and how standardized tests are cost and time effective. Firstly, the prime minister, in her speech, had given a reply to our point of information, saying that the marking of a child based on communication skills would help develop his or her persona. But I would like to state that the marking of a child based on anything is itself a part of standardized test. Thus, indeed she's contradicting what she stands for, and is indeed supporting our side and our stance. Moving on to my moral arguments, I would like to first say that standardized tests give a common basis for evaluation, as in students, what is the main purpose of a test? It is to evaluate whether a student can perform well in a given field or not. And that is the exact reason why we have tests. So only when we can compare students with one another will it be useful. And that is why we have standardized tests, which provide a common basis for comparison on a set parameter. Moreover, it promotes equality of opportunity and gives fair opportunities for people to prove themselves based on what is given. If we have an individual test for each person, then we surely will not be able to determine who is good at what and who is not good at what. Moreover, using a standardized test enables us to choose the best of personnel, which I feel is done better in standardized tests and not in non-standardized tests, because it also enables us to make optimum utilization of our resources. Moreover, standardized tests, since they are based on set parameters, they help us to judge and makes the entire process of evaluation much more easier. Also, now I'd like to focus on the disadvantages of having an individualized test, which was not clearly mentioned upon by the proposition on bringing out any other proper method of evaluating the way of the performance of a student in their speech, which I would like to request them to do in their further speeches. So moreover, individual judgment varies person to person. So since it varies from person to person, this itself shows that it's a variable and it cannot be compared. And since there is no basis for comparison, you will never be able to evaluate who's good at what and who is not good at what. Of course, you'll be able to identify a person's strength and his weakness, but after that, what? You won't be able to take any stance on the topic after any of this. As a non-standardized tests, they do not provide a big opportunity for comparison or evaluating the talent hidden in a person. And moreover, moreover, the leader of the proposition had said that you never but in interviews people never ask you how much you've scored in exams or anything. But I would like to say that that is the basic main criteria on which people evaluate whether you're selected for the company or whether you're supposed to proceed to further rounds or not. Thereby, I would like to conclude my speech by giving an entire gist of what I had said. Firstly, I had clearly said why the
Okay. Presenter, I'm really sorry. We have to cut your time for the same. Thank you so much. Points have been noted. Yeah, we have a point of information. Please, participant, from the next time, before the 3-minute mark, please try raising your hand for point of information. You just take this one time into consideration, but the next point of time, please make sure that you're raising your hands before the 3-minute mark.
Okay, so I'll make sure next time.
Okay.
Okay, so the delegates said that if we were going to take individual test for that, firstly, for taking into consideration the holistic skills of a child, we need not necessarily take an individual test. That could be done in various ways. You can simply have a platform open for everyone to speak up what they want, to get recognized themselves with their skills, not just you calling out one person selectively. My question,
Yeah, no,
yeah, sir, I was just coming to it. So my question to you is that how could you define that the current way how we are having the standardized test are taking in consideration the holistic development of the child? because just a 3-hour paper that you are sitting at a place and give it could not define how a good speaker you are, or maybe what skills you possess. And more of analytical thinking is involved, but much of rote learning process is taken into consideration during the test. Each one of us have different brains, we have different mindset of thinking. Curriculum will be the same, but the process of evaluation will be different.
Sorry, Prime Minister, we have just make sure that your question is short and crisp, or keeping it to a limit. Don't go into self-explanatory, but then we'll have to make it invalid. So let's just take the question as it is. If you can just ask the question as it is again for the presenter to answer it simply. A simple question.
Okay, so precisely, could you please define how the current way of taking the standardized test could consider the holistic skills of a child?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. As you might be very much aware of the way we are being tested in our school, we have separate areas like assessment of speaking and listening, where you are given a specific time for just to speak and to listen and interpret what is being given. Moreover, the creativity portion of a person is also being tested in our present curriculum of standardized tests, where we are assigned projects to make and we are being evaluated based on that. So standardized tests not only take into consideration the bookish knowledge that you have, but they also give special importance to the amount of creativity that you have, and to your way of listening and to your approach to a particular problem. So thereby, I hope I've answered your question.
Okay, thank you so much. With that, all points have been taken into consideration. Would the opponent like to state a point of personal privilege or a point of order? No? Okay, thank you so much. We'll move on to the next speaker.
Can we just wait for a moment? I just lost my pen.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Moving ahead, if the lead member of government is ready, we can start with the motion.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on with the topic, I, member of the government, would like to put some more weight on our argument that is standardized tests are not effective way to measure the capability of a student. Carrying forth the idea of my fellow speaker, who has quite logically put down the loopholes in the current way of conducting tests, I would like to throw some more light on the key factors which influences a student's overall personality and his or her character development. The standardized tests today have fallen short of achieving what they are desired to. Had they been created to check how much a person can mug up a day before an exam and write it on the paper and forget it the other day, or maybe the other week, students are not meant to work in a way the school curriculum forces them to. They have killed the creativity of a child's mind, the curiosity to know every logic. Children are not able to flap their wings of imagination and fly high in the sky in the quest of searching their answers. Intelligence consists not only in the knowledge, but also in the skill to apply the knowledge into practice, which the current system, which the current tests are failing to. We need to create a stress-free environment in which an individual polishes his personality and inculcates within himself the virtues of moral values and ethics. Qualities need to be imparted to lead a rational life. It's quite obvious to say, Sir Einstein's famous quote, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. In this system of test, everyone is just running in a rat race. But wait, there's a twist. They are making us do mental labor like donkeys and expecting us to be smart, fast, and sharp as horses. If this way of standardized tests is so efficient in judging a person's potential, then why people who score 90 plus or 95 plus are not able to clear the entrance exam? Because it's a totally different scenario. People are not actually designed to work in that way. Okay, and why people can't just not explain what they have read or learned in their previous classes. I would just like to say that 75% of the students are not able to teach what they have learned. They're not able to spread their knowledge because they never tried to understand it first. Like, how will they make you understand if they themselves have not understood it?
At last, I conclude by saying that knowledge is giving the right answer and intelligence is basically asking the right question, which the current system is.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Should I continue?
Yeah, you can continue. We had a point, someone had raised a point of information. Would you like to answer it now? Can you?
I'll answer it after finishing
go ahead.
my part.
Yeah.
So knowledge is giving the right answer and intelligence is asking the right question, which the current system is not able to differentiate between the two. They're just mixing them and taking for granted that the person who is knowledgeable will also be intelligent, which is not at all true. So it's for our betterment how sooner or later we will understand this. So the leader of opposition had just put down a question that if not standardized tests, then what, according to you, should be a kind of way to approach for measuring the students' capability? I would like to say that you should follow a practical approach to solve problems rather than just giving questions, rather than just having a prescribed syllabus and asking the questions from it. Teachers do take us to our laboratories or make us do activities, but that's just they're making us tell whatever we have to do the next day beforehand, which is not good. Taking students to a science lab is good, but making a file of all the listed activities is not good. Okay, a question, if they can ask a question from the whole book in the standardized tests, then why they make the students learn and perform experiments beforehand and not giving them a real life exposure to perform it on the day of your practical exam? So conducting regular interviews after all a job demands, along with a brilliant mark sheet, a brilliant personality with good communication skills too, which is somewhere.
No, I'm sorry, your time is up. You can't wait past a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Your points have been taken into consideration. Can we have the POI please right now?
Yes. So the member of government has stated that there are not enough provisions in the present school environment to test the holistic skills of people, to test their practical knowledge. I would like to ask them, as a school student themselves, do they actually think there are no provisions set up in schools for speaking, to test our speaking capabilities, to test our capabilities of understanding things? Are there no activities that are performed? This is one question that proposition has to answer.
Okay, thank you so much. Would the speaker would like to answer the question?
Yeah. So I would just like to say that, okay, maybe it is just 10% or 20% of the practical knowledge, but these tests, the way the curriculum functions, it actually does not make us practically strengthened, and it does not help us to apply the knowledge whatever we have learned. Okay, and you were talking about that whether we have these practical activities or the schools don't have it all. Well, it is, but I think it's just for a formality and it's just nothing else. It's just for taking a formality and just entering the marks and not according how it should function.
Okay, thank you so much. We've taken that into consideration. Is there any other points of order or points of personal privilege which the opponents would like to state? Okay, thank you. Moving on, we would like to go to the member of the opposition party. You can start whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. Today, I'll be strongly opposing the topic. This House believes that standardized tests are not an effective way to measure the capability of a student. Imagine a world where equality is being emphasized on a global level, but we are failing to achieve this. But we fail to achieve this even in schools with the implementation of individual testing. This is the world. This is the type of world that side proposition desires to live in. So first of all, some of the touching upon some of the points that side proposition came out about. They said that they have all throughout both of the speeches they have suggested they have talked to us about how standardized testings are bad. They're not they don't hone up the holistic skills of people help them to develop. So they have yet failed, after even a point of information, have yet failed to provide with us an exact way of how they would like testing to take place, how they would like students to be tested. This is something that they have failed to touch upon. Moving upon to my constructives, I'll be talking about how personal bias is present in individual testing, which is the way that we believe that testing would take place if standardized testing was not selected. And secondly, on how it isn't time effective or cost effective. So standardized tests put everyone on the same level. Everyone has the same knowledge. They provide with the same information, and they're able so they can perform at the same level during their exams. And during individual testing, which is what we on side opposition believe would be the other hand to the side of the debate, which is what would be done other than standardized testing. There would be a lack of knowledge among the teachers. So if a student decides that he is going to specialize in a certain topic, for example, during orthopedics in the medical system, if a student decides to specialize in that, a teacher would have to know everything about that. This is completely wrong. So a student cannot have specialized knowledge in just one topic. This is what the side of proposition also stated, that we need to focus on our strengths, is what they stated. And secondly, the correction patterns in standardized tests are based on a set answer key, if you may say. For example, our CBSE exams, they're based on a set answer key. So there will be no problem with different teachers who have different correcting methods. If they're more lenient in the correction, if they're more strict in the correction, they still have to adhere to certain rules, which are which is the answer key. Now, how is this not time effective at all? So I take the example of the NEET exam again. There are hundreds of thousands of students writing this exam every single year. And if they were to take individual testing instead of standard testing, as side opposition said, standard testing is not the best way to test the holistic skills, to test how good they are in certain topics. How does side proposition even believe they can conduct this type of test on such a large scale in individual testing? How can they not do it via standard testing? This is something that they have failed to answer, and they have failed to tell us how not actually using standardized testing is going to help them in the future. Now, secondly, the side proposition, are also, they are largely stereotyping tests, as I said, quote unquote, mugging up of knowledge by students. They say that students mug up knowledge and then they write it in the test and forget it. Is this really what they think this happens? This is just one of the biggest stereotypes that happens in our day-to-day life, where teachers, students, parents believe they just believe, oh, we have to memorize this, we have to do this tomorrow's exam. No, that is not what students do at all. Being students themselves, I fail to see how side proposition brought up this point. This is why I strongly believe that standardized testings are one of the most effective ways to measure the capability of students. And this is also so because standardized testing is accepted worldwide.
I'm sorry, we have to cut you over there. Your 4-minute timer is over.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Your points have been taken into consideration. Do we have any points of order or points of personal privilege which the opponent would like to state? Okay, thank you so much. With that, we'll move on to the second set of the debate, which is the rebuttal. Now, for the rebuttal, there won't be any point of information which the opponent team can raise upon. There'll only be a point of order and a point of personal privilege that will be taken into consideration in the rebuttal rounds. No new facts can be taken into light while making a rebuttal statement. You need to only remain in the purview of the debate that's happened as of now. Okay, make sure that it's not there. And yeah, it's for 3 minutes each. We can start with the leader of the opposition party whenever they're ready.
Moving on with my rebuttals about what the members of the proposition have said. Firstly, I would like to state that there's a clear misconception on the side proposition about what we have said and about the entire concept of test, because they're often returning back to the same point that tests do not consider the holistic development of a person. But what actually happens is that as they themselves are students, they must know that it also considers a very much practical approach, and it enables students to explore more within the knowledge of the book and all of that. So, and also the second speaker of side proposition had said that students are forced to read literally one day before exam, and they often do not understand what they read and are just mugging it up. Now I would like to ask and what I would like to say is that that is entirely not at all the fault of standardized test. It is the fault of a student body to not take up a more practical, more involved approach into what they're studying. Believe me, if this is the case, then no, if it's standardized tests or not, no matter what kind of test you give them, they will still be only trying to mug it up at the end of the day and just reproduce it on their own. Moreover, the first speaker of side proposition had said that the standardized tests do not mark a child based on their communication skills, or neither are these marks being considered when students go for interviews in higher areas of job. But this is totally not true, because whatever interview you go for or whichever interview you attend, the first thing that they ask you about is your marks. In fact, the basic criteria of selection into the next round of the interview is your mark. If you have scored only above 90% or 95% cutoff, will they even consider giving you a park or a chance to try out the job and attend the interview? Moreover, as the member of opposition had already stated, it is not practically possible to consider a practical approach to each and everything that is being taught in school, because of course, as we see, the cost factor becomes really huge, and testing thousands of people is totally not practical. But what we say is that these standardized tests not only consider the cost factors, but also to a considerable extent they also test the practical approach and the imagination skills of students, because even in these tests you're not simply going to attend what you have read in your book or what you have learned in some other guide. They ask you new intriguing questions for which you have to think and answer. These standardized tests, they do not provide you a fixed basis on which they're going to test you. They also test your creativity, your imagination, and all the other things that the side proposition had said that the standardized tests have failed to test. Now, let us see what happens in the worst case of standardized tests and in the best case. In the worst case of standardized tests, the 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 talent of one or two particular individuals might not
I'm
have been
sorry,
recognized.
participant. Your time is over. Thank you so much.
Can you just say one more line?
Yeah, go ahead.
Whereas in the worst case of having a non-standardized test, people will have their individual criteria for judging, which is the main reason why most of people's talent won't be recognized, because of the failure of having a common way of measuring. Thank you.
Thank you. Points have been taken into consideration. Is there a point of order or point of personal privilege the opponent would like to state? Okay. Thank you so much. Okay.
The point of personal privilege. Can I just have some water before I begin with my rebuttal?
Sure. Not an issue. Okay, Prime Minister, you can start whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I'll be starting now. So first of all, I would like to tell you what misconceptions have you taken up from our speeches. So basically, we never talked about ignoring our weaknesses. I had very clearly mentioned that it is equally important to work on your strength, to work on your good points, to strengthen them more enough for more improvisation. Then it was not at all definable by your side that how you can take intelligence and knowledge to a parallel level, because whenever we wanted to point out that intelligence and knowledge cannot be compared, because there are many more factors you need to consider while calling a person intelligent or a dumb, and just being precisely on what the written facts explain is not the thing. We focused on many more other than holistic development also. Basically, precisely, I would like to use the word intelligence over here. And talking about large number of people giving exams, it can happen at school level too. Competitive exams are created so that people cannot mug up in it. That is why generally, for example, there are many people who score 98%, 99% in their board exams, but when it comes to entrance, they're not even able to crack it out because they are on a very different level. There are many people getting rejected because of their common skills, that is maybe communication skills, their listening skills, which are much more important than the other skills. And while talking about considering the holistic development of a child on school level, obviously we do have greater and many finer activities that we want to attempt. Everyone wishes to, and we also have the opportunity to do that. But let's take for an example, if you ever look onto your report card, you'll have your marks above, like in a tabular form. Then after that, you'll have certain columns in which you'll be graded for your speaking skills, for your sports, for your physical health and education. And that's all, maybe because they keep both the things on a different level. That is the main point. Things are mug up because actually the holistic development and education has been kept on a different standards. And then it is said that okay, we are considering holistic education too, but that's not to that effective way, whereas it has more importance. We are never told how we can speak up publicly so well. We are told very well what the periodic table represent, or all the wrong assumptions the scientist had made during classifying the elements. But we're never told what is the best way of presenting yourself, what is the best way to argue, what is the best way to prove yourself whenever you feel like you're being misconcepted. Formality, practicals, and activities.
Okay. Thank you so much, President and Prime Minister. Your time is up. Points have been taken into consideration. Is there a point of order or point of personal privilege which the opponent team would like to take? Okay. Thank you so much. With that, we come to the end of this debate. I'm thank you for taking part in the competition. We hope you had a lot of fun. We'll keep you updated regarding the best of 16. We'll get into by Tuesday end of day. Okay, you guys have made it into the top, even best of 16 or not. But until then, all the best. Ma'am, your comments, your views on the debate. Ma'am, you're muted. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So that was an interesting debate, and I'm going to tell you each one what I have a feedback for you all. Okay, Gurleen, I think you need to understand the difference between academic prowess and holistic prowess. Okay, an engineer doesn't necessarily need holistic capabilities. Okay, an engineer would need logical or academic skills, or a doctor would need skills that are knowledge about the system. He won't need imagination or how creative is he, or his intuition, or how well he speaks. So your examples are not supporting your cause because you're a little confused in holistic and knowledge. Okay, now self-improvement is great, but you need some standardized skill sets for a job. So you're confused between that. So that is my feedback to you. Shreya, I think your putting it all together was very vociferous and it was very vibrant. But I think you need to understand that what you are trying to say, that standardized tests should be more cumulative and hands-on, depending on the skill sets required and the way one learns and develops. So you got to use terms like cumulative assessment, hands-on assessment, different types of learning, different types of spatial skill sets, left brain, right brain. A little more research should have gone into your defense. But yes, I liked what you presented. Aditya, I thought you were very impressive. Not only were your facts very precise, they have a lot of gravitas and very well put together. And I like the way you're concise, like, standardized tests are needed to be conducted on a very large population. They're impartial to a certain extent. So yes, you put together your points well. Niranjan, I think you need to become a little more concise. You've been kind of, and why your debate should be putting your concise points together rather than rebutting what the opposition is saying. So you should have just put your points forth rather than, you understood what I'm saying, right? So be careful next time that you've got 3 minutes, you've got to be very precise in what you're saying. So thank you all. I hope my feedbacks helped you all.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. That'll be all for our side. We'll keep you updated regarding the same. Hope you guys had a nice experience debating. Take care. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, sir. It was a wonderful debate.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
I just have a few questions.
Sorry?
Sir, I have a few questions.
Yeah.
So just asking, would the time be increased? Over the course of the next few debates, would the time be increased?
Yeah, definitely.
But Niranjan, what you need to do is you should make points. Point 1, stick to point 1. Point 2, point 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So if 3 minutes, you have to stick to the time frame, whatever it is.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Just highlight the pointers, emphasize on more of the headings of the points, because the content of it will be somewhat relatable to us, even if you're not hearing the wholesome thing of it. So just keep the points alone just highlight mainly on the points, that the whole picture just comes together when you're, talking all the other things. So irrespective of time management, as long as you highlight your points, everything else you can always fit it inside the time limit that you. Sounds good?
Debates, could we just have like a clap at 1 minute or a clap at 3 minutes, if that's possible? Because it's much more audible, and also I can see you doing it. So I got to time myself this time, even though I bought a watch. So
Definitely. We'll keep that in mind, and hopefully in the debates we'll make that happen. Thank you so much. Okay, debaters, you can leave the chat. Thank you so much. We'll keep you updated. Okay, guys. First of all, welcome to the Compass Parliamentary Debate. We're really happy to have you over. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to have an amazing experience, and I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy a lot. Just a few things before the event, before the judge comes back and we can start with the debate. We would just like to go about with instructions about how the debate is going to be like and what all options you have during the debate. Okay, so as you guys know, we're going to start off with the presentation, the speech of the Prime Minister, moving ahead to the leader of the opposition party, moving ahead to the member of the government, and finally the member of the opposition party. That is that ends around one kind of thing, and after which you have 2 rounds of rebuttal, or 1 round of rebuttal, starting with the leader of the opposition party, ending with the Prime Minister. Okay, now you have 4 minutes of presentation time for the first round for all 4 of you, and for the rebuttal you have 3 minutes each for both the leader of the opposition party and the Prime Minister. Okay, now moving ahead, there are 3 points which you need to take into consideration. One point is called the point of personal privilege. Now, in the sense that you want to drink water, or go to the washroom, or ask for any permission, like if your video is going wrong and you want to take the time to get your connection back up, you can ask for a personal privilege, and we'll give you that opportunity to we'll stop the timer so that you can get yourself organized again. Okay. The second point is called the point of order. Now, a point of order is when the opponent team is making a statement which you feel is factually wrong. You can call for a point of order after the speech has been made. I will ask after every round if there's a point of order or a point of personal privilege, and you guys can denote if you have a point of order to make regarding some fact that was made by the opponent team. And this is not an answer which the opponent team can give to. It's all on the purview of the judge whether for them to consider it or not in terms of the statement that you're making. Okay. Finally, we have the point of information where you get to ask questions to the speaker when they're presenting. Now, for a point of information, You have to raise your hands to ask a question, and you can only ask a question after the first minute of the speech and before the third minute of the presentation. Okay, so if you ask before the first minute and after the third minute, it won't be taken into consideration. So you can only raise your hand only after the first minute and before the third minute. And when the first minute is over, I'll be showing you 1 and 3 to denote that 1 minute is up and 3 minutes is up on camera. Apart from that, you will hear this specific sound to denote the same. Okay, was that audible enough?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It will also be done. Just to make sure that the bell, if it's not that audible, I'll also be showing the numbers on screen to denote the same. After the 4-minute mark, you will hear this sound to know that your time is over. Okay, so you note this mark to show that your time is over and you have to stop your presentation right away. Okay, now you can ask a point of information when a person is asking. This is the sound which will be put across in place. Okay, the buzzer sound will come into place when someone's raising the hand. Now, there are 2 obligations which the presenter must take care of. Whenever someone's raising the hand, please make sure you identify if someone's raising the hand, or at least identify if you hear the buzzer. Just reply if yes, you want to take the question now, or no, you want to take the question later. As in, if you say yes, we'll stop the timer where the question can be asked and you can answer it, and we'll start the timer again when you're going about with the speech. Or no, in the sense that after your speech is done, we can come back to the question that's been raised. Make sense? Yeah. You have a doubt?
Is it compulsory to answer the point of information?
Yes. I'm sorry. Okay.
How many points of information are we supposed to take? And
you can take a number.
Okay.
Okay. But make sure that your questions are precise. If you're calling for a point of order, your statement is precise. Don't take 1 minute to form your own structure, then ask a question and then go ahead with it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we allowed to communicate with a team partner over the phone or like over the chat when
chat would be preferred, like a private chat you can take over when they're not presenting.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Yeah, so that's how a point of information works. You guys will hear the buzzer. Please make sure the presenter either sees the hand raise or hears the buzzer. Please state yes or no. If not, it's fine. We'll take anyway. I'll anyway address that there's been a POI at the end of your speech and we can get to the same. Okay, with that, yeah.
So when if the opposition is asking me a question, a POI, will my response be counted in my 4 minutes, or would that be a separate thing? Okay.
We'll pause the time whenever you're saying yes.
Okay.
If you say yes, we'll pause the time so that they can ask a question and you
Okay.
can answer the question, and then we'll start again with the timer.
Okay, thank you.
We're taking a continuation of the question to your statement. We'll identify when there's going to be a stop and we'll take a time accordingly.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
adequate amount of time to make your statements.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, let's begin the debate. We would like to introduce you guys to the judge of today. Yeah. We have Ms. Kiran Rai. Ma'am is the author of The Sacred Indian Tarot, Cupidly Ping Me Love, and the founder of Arte India. She's a renowned author, an art curator, and an independent scholar of the Vedanta. Ma'am lives in New Delhi with her son and husband, where she seeks to lead a life of holistic balance in the mind, body, and spirit space. Ma'am is a recognized figure in the literary community, a debater herself when she represented her alum MGD in multiple debates through her school life. Having worked with some of the top communication companies like Mudra Communication, Enterprise Public Relations, and the Ministry of External, Ma'am has been invited to adjure debating rounds in reputed institutions across the country. Ma'am, it's a pleasure for you to be joining us for this debate. We hope you have a great time.
Thank you so much for having me. All the best. All of you. Have a great time.
Thank you so much. Okay, just 1 second. Yeah. With that, let's start with the debate. Can the Prime Minister come forward? And whenever you're ready, we can start the same.
Okay, so I'm ready. Nothing vast enters the life of mortals without a cause. Today, the motion presented before me is that the House believes that social media platforms should be held accountable for the spread of fake news. My argument for the motion is going to be divided into three distinct phases, using which I will break down the dangers we open ourselves to if we continue giving unfettered power to social media without demanding complete accountability. The first part is the how. How does this affect you or me or any of us here? They say numbers don't lie, so let me help you by giving you some numbers. 79% of United States citizens have one or more social media accounts. 500 million Indians have at least one social media account. What's more, an independent survey suggested that 90.4% of people between the ages of 16 and 38 use social media daily. Almost 70% advertisers on Facebook said that their programs were either effective or very effective. That means they convinced buyers to take their product on an exponential scale. All this combined is scary to say the least. So, well, isn't it scary that the latest newspaper is Facebook today? Now, the second phase of my argument. What this does to influencers. Let's see how these numbers have an effect on international money and politics. Every day we hear new information about IT cells spreading fake information and real data getting lost in the ocean of information that is the World Wide Web. The problem here is that it reaches so many people who have been conditioned by complex algorithms to trust what they read, and hence that's exactly what they do. The reason why this is a problem is social media, unlike common belief, is often not a dialogue, rather it's a monologue. That means there's no bipartisan discussion, rather one side of the story is repeatedly expressed so many times that the viewer believes it. What's more, apart from it being extremely biased, it often happens that to keep the viewer's interest, it's often cut short. Hence, it doesn't tell the whole story. It only tells parts of the story that leaves it open to misinterpretation. And you want to tell me that this is untrue or false? Well, let's scroll back a few weeks. Sunil Gavaskar, a popular Indian commentator, made a comment on live television about Virat Kohli's unsuccessful attempts at building a strong innings in the IPL. This comment, distasteful it may be, was misheard by a Twitter user who immediately tweeted about it. And within hours, we saw that tweet go viral with explicit content that wasn't in his original statement. And this was all just about one game of cricket. So let's see the impact it makes on the world stage. In 2013, 130 billion USD in stock value was wiped out in the matter of minutes following a tweet about an explosion that injured Barack Obama. Twitter AP with the affected entity said that its account was hacked, although stock prices recovered shortly afterwards. This instance points to how news on social media can be manipulated to impact high-frequency trading algorithms that rely on text to make investment calls. Be it footballer Cristiano Ronaldo, whose social media followers recently crossed over 350 million, or a nobody in the world of social media, whose tweet or Instagram post goes viral. Imagine the difference one such post can make on the world. Today, in a highly partisan world, we watch elections be won or lost with a couple hundred votes. And most of these times, the world is checking their Facebook accounts for these facts. Don't believe me? 78% of people consider Facebook as an honest source of news. Isn't it at least their moral and legal duty to ensure a fairer world for voters that actually reflect what they want? If this continues at this rate, I want you to ask yourself, how much in power of our own choices are we? Can't algorithms on Facebook sites play a role in helping our opinion? Oh, why am I being kind anymore? Don't they completely influence?
Participant, I'm really sorry. Your time is over. Your points
Sir, can I conclude?
Go ahead. If it's like one line, just conclude in one line.
Okay. So, how long do we give the excuse of complete free speech to break down democracy? Or we have another option, when will we start holding them accountable for their actions?
Okay, thank you. Points have been taken into consideration. Are there any points of personal privilege or points of order which the opponent team would like to state? Okay, thank you so much. With that, we'll move on to the leader of the opposition party. You can start whenever you're ready.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As the Prime Minister stated in the near end of his speech, he stated that 78% of people prefer Facebook and they look out for news on Facebook. Now, this just shows how people prefer Facebook over other validated sites or validated websites or authorities over for the news, for the sources of news. Social media platforms had begun operating as neutral entities to enable the users to express themselves freely. It was not a site or someplace to go for news, for the sources of news. People, sorry, excuse me. People voice their opinions that they're entitled to and pass on information globally. Maximum amount of fake news is still spread through social media. But is it correct to hold social media accountable for it? Let me tell you why it isn't. It is the people, it is you and I who decide whether any piece of information is believable and worth sharing among our circle. Now let us take, it isn't completely at the consumer's disposal. Social media have a lot of community guidelines that verify the news. For example, they have various community guidelines to protect children from explicit content or prevent the spread of offensive content against a group of people or a person. There have been several instances where social media has taken several steps to prevent the spread of misinformation too. For example, let's take Facebook. As one of the largest platforms and perhaps the platform facing the most criticism for the spread of fake news, Facebook has taking measures to curb fake news by by accompanying their post with publisher information. Or let's take Pinterest, for example. Recently, they faced criticism for enabling the spread of misinformation about the efficiency and side effects of vaccines. In response, the company originally decided to disable the research results for related to vaccines completely, and later announced that it would only limit the results to posts from authoritative sources like the WHO. Now here, this is one example where we can see, like as he said, the first speaker said that the freedom of speech that is given through social media is misused, and I feel like yes, you are right, it is misused, but it is the social media guidelines have done as much as they can without hindering the authentic reason that they are there for in the first place. It is for people to express their opinions. There's only a limit to which they can hinder that. There's only a limit to which they can ask people to stop, ask people to not voice their opinions or stay within the community guidelines. Social media cannot just this, like I said, social media cannot go too far with the restrictions too. Now it is even though for example, if the social media cannot prevent the spread of fake news to a lot of to some range, because some information can dodge their guidelines, and God forbid if it is a fake news, next thing we know it is available on a global platform, and that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Speaker. Points have been taken into consideration. Is there a point of order or point of personal privilege which the opponent would like to state? Yeah. Go ahead.
Sir, I was unable to listen to the points the speaker made in around between the first and the second minute. So could she summarize those, as my internet connection was weak?
Okay, she can. Would you like to, presenter?
First and the second minute. Yeah.
After you talked about neutral entities and introduced the idea of community guidelines.
Okay, after that, you're talking about the points after that? Okay, I spoke about, basically I was saying that it is the people who are responsible for the news that they take in, and they decide to believe it or not. And it is, even though fake news is spread through social media, but it is the people who make up the social media, who make up the community. And they have, even though social media has a lot of guidelines, people, yet they can dodge the community guidelines. The information can dodge the community guidelines.
Okay. Thank you so much, presenter. Is there any more point of order or point of personal privilege that they like to make? Okay, thank you. With that, we'll move on to the member of government. We can start whenever you're ready.
Yes, sir. Globally, the average time of a person spends on social media is a day 2 hours 24 minutes. If someone signed up at 16 and lived to 70, they would spend 5.7 years of their whole life on it. And that is an average that rises when talking only about the urban populations. Furthermore, a Microsoft study found that over 64% of Indians encounter fake news online. The 2013 Muzaffarnagar riots, which claimed over 60 lives and displaced thousands, were fueled by videos circulated on WhatsApp Wikipedia. Lives and loves are lost by the lack of accountability on social media. And yet, you stand here saying they should be given an untethered access to the core of the modern world. Fake news on WhatsApp is perhaps the bigger problem to solve given the app has over 400 million users in India alone and messages are encrypted, making it challenging to identify, report, and remove content in the same way as it can on other platforms. In 2019, WhatsApp reported that it was deleting 2 million accounts per month as part of an effort to reduce the use of the app to spread fake news and misinformation. But the data on the success of the mission remains conveniently hidden. As part of the 2016 Indian banknote demonetization, India introduced a new 2000 rupees currency note. Following this, multiple fake news reports about spying technology added in the banknotes went viral on WhatsApp and had to be dismissed by the government. Did you know that did you know that on Facebook, Instagram and other social media sites you can pay to post an advertisement and that advertisement is in no way fact checked? Do you know what does this mean? It means you can basically pay these apps to spread fake news. How is this in any way not a fault of the social media? What this means is that you can pay to spread lies. So how can you not see a massive potential problem, not just on the micro scale, but also on the stage of world economies and political establishments? David Wheeler, who lost a child in 2012 Sandy Hook massacre and has been accused by Second Amendment advocate and conspiracy theorist Alex Jones in Infowars, among others, of falsifying his child's murder as a part of a campaign to undermine gun rights, has to say this. It has been incredibly painful to have to live through this, to have the face to have to face this kind of thing for the offense of speaking publicly. But it comes back to something I landed on days after. From this point forward, are you going to make your decisions out of fear or out of love? I don't always succeed, but I try like hell to not have my decisions come out of fear. On the morning of December 14, 2012, Adam Lanza, 20, stormed on into Sandy Hook Elementary School and in the space of 5 minutes shot to death 20 first grade children and 6 educators before turning the gun on himself. Shortly after the massacre, stories started circulating on social media claiming the grieving parents were frauds and their children hadn't existed and the massacre never occurred. Sandy Hook parents received death threats. Jones of Infowars railed the loudest and most consistently and continues to question the veracity of the shooting and encourages his millions of viewers to dispute the facts of the tragic massacre. Fake news destroys lives. And I'm not here saying this story because it's unique, rather because it's not. How would you feel if your kid was shot and
Okay.
the blame was on you?
The time is up. I'm really sorry.
Can I just end with one line?
Okay, go ahead.
Not great, right? So it isn't the social media's job to fact check the news and post sent on it.
Okay, thank you so much. Your points have been noted. We had a point of information in the middle. Yeah, would the opponent team?
Sorry, actually, all videos are freezed on my screen, so I could not see anything.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. You can answer them now. Can we have the question, please?
Yes, sir. So the speaker had made a point about the 2000 rupee notes coming about in India and fake news regarding that spreading through WhatsApp. Does the speaker believe that the fake news is spread because of the social media platform by itself or because of the users using the social media platform?
Uh, Thank you, speaker. I feel that the users are given a platform to spread fake news. I feel if they are not given such a platform to spread fake news so easily, then there won't be so many misunderstandings and a lot of confusion.
Okay. Thank you so much, Speaker. With that, we'll move on to the member of opposition. Okay, sorry, you had a point.
I have a point of personal privilege. Can the opposition speaker, second speaker, repeat his last statement made?
Go ahead.
On the answer or in my speech?
In your speech.
In my speech, I said that I'm not here saying this story because it's unique, rather because it's not. How would you feel if your kid was shot and the blame was on you? Not great, right? So it isn't the social media's job to fact check the news and post sent on it. Yeah, like this was. I was going
Okay.
to continue, but the time was over.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Member of the opposition party, you can start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Recently, after the coronavirus pandemic breakdown happened, there was a theory about people standing outside in the sun or drinking lemonade with turmeric mixed in it, and it was said that it could cure the coronavirus or it was a remedy towards it, and it was spread all over through some social media websites. Well, all of us know that this is a fake news and this is not a reliable news to follow. Some people chose to believe it and try it out, and some didn't. And it was their choice. So, when fake news are being spread on social media, shouldn't we be more critical towards the information that we find online? There aren't any editors who ensure that the information that is spread on social media is reliable, unlike editors from newspapers or journals who cross-check the same fact over and over again to make sure that it's something that can be like trusted or depended or reliable with. Social media, so because there aren't any editors per se for the facts, there is more chance of it being fake. And now that social media, and now you could say that it's social media's fault because all these news is spread through social media. But social media has taken responsibility, some amount of responsibility. Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to take the question now or later?
I'd like to take it now.
So you're telling that am I audible?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you're telling that viewers need to start being critical about what they read on Facebook. But in an interview, in a deposition with the European Parliament, Mark Zuckerberg, a tycoon of social media himself, stated that we are committed to making sure that non-partisan information is spread, and we believe we want to stop our the readers from worrying about whether it's true or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is roughly 2 years ago, if you want the
Okay. I'm sorry. I just have to stop there. Participant, you have to know that you need to structure your questions in terms of questions rather than statements.
Okay.
So
What is your view on the fact that you're saying that users need to be more critical about what they read on social media, while talking exactly opposite to this? 2 years ago, Mark Zuckerberg in a deposition with
Thank you so much.
I believe that the first speaker of the leader of the opposition had already stated that social media platforms have taken responsibility towards the spread of fake news, and I'm pretty sure the leader of opposition, also gave like situations that had happened, like Facebook and Pinterest taking responsibility for the actions that had happened in the social media website itself. Sir, now can I continue with my argument, my constructive speech?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So continuing, people. Okay. Can I just summarize what I had said?
Please continue.
Okay. So so now that we know that social media spreads news which aren't edited or just spreads because of people, we know that you would come to the conclusion that social media has to take responsibility for their actions, which they already have. Like the leader of the opposition had previously stated, there are guidelines followed by social media to make sure that news, hate speech, news regarding explicit content or offensive or news which are offensive to a particular race have been controlled. And also social media does give us the chance to report something that we find offensive. Most social media websites give us the chance to report something that we find hateful or fake or anything, and it gives us options on what we think is the reason for like reporting the same. And they can't social media cannot be held responsible for what the viewers post. I believe that the proposition team does not understand what the point of what the point of social media actually is. Social media is not for news. Social media is a place. Social media is a place where people have the right to speech, and people can express their views and opinions on certain things freely, and uh, and they can also read about other views and opinions. So when it comes to fake news spreading on social media, it might also be the opinion of a person which might be assumed as a news, and a news is a fact and an opinion is different from a fact. So a news which an opinion which has been assumed as a fact and is spread across is not the fault of the person or is not the fault of the social media platform. It's because of the person that it's spreading. And also, considering that people believe what the person says, shouldn't we be more responsible? Isn't it our responsibility to believe what we read? Because we now know that social media is not something that has been a verified or reliable source. Most news aren't reliable. So shouldn't we fact check that our like whatever we read is something coming from a reliable source? Or shouldn't we be like take the responsibility to understand that the news has been verified or not? Social media ensures that too. There are many news channels on social media, and it makes sure that, and for example,
Time is
yes,
up.
yes, sir. Can I just conclude with one line?
Yeah. Before that, sorry, participant. As you know, after the 3-minute mark, you can't put across a POI. We're really sorry, so we won't be taking that into consideration. You can make your closing statement.
Yeah. So social media does ensure that most of their news, most of the reliable news are protected, since they since for let's take Facebook for example. Facebook says that it's a publisher's post when some reliable information from a reliable person or a page has been posted. Likewise, there are all other social medias do the same. So why should social media be held accountable?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take your points into consideration. Is there any points of order or points of personal privilege which the opponent team would like to make? Okay, thank you so much. With that, we finish the set 1 of our debate. Moving on to the rebuttal round. There won't be any point of information in the rebuttal round. There'll only be a point of order or a point of personal privilege that can be used by both the teams in the rebuttal round. Note that no new facts can be brought to light during the rebuttal round. You need to only go about with the purview of the discussion that we've had as of now. Yes, you have 3 minutes each. The leader of the opposition party, you're ready to start whenever you want.
Okay, the first proposition speaker stated how the average number of people in America have at least one social media account, or like more than 2 social media account. And then he also stated a few other points, like 78% of people prefer Facebook for their sources of news. And the second speaker stated that on an average, a person spends 5.7 years of their life on social media. And they try to show it as though they try to showcase that it is the social media responsible for the spread of fake news. But this, I feel like this just showcases how voluminous the social media is. And it is very righteously said that rumors stop when they reach a wise person's ears. So, and also one more point made by the second speaker was that companies like social medias like Facebook, they take money to sell some advertisement regarding fake news. Yes.
No. 1 minute is up. It's
Okay,
just...
sorry. Legally speaking, about that, legally speaking, it is the company or whatever company that sells their advertisement into whatever respective social media platform, which is responsible for whatever product they are advertising. They are choosing to advertise on whatever terms. It is not the social media platform responsible for whatever that particular company is advertising. Now, another point made by the second speaker was that fake news destroys the life of people. Yes, fake news does destroy the lives of people. We are not against that. What we are saying is that social media is not alone responsible for the spread of fake news. It is the people who decide, as I said, as my a member of opposition said, it is the people who decide to pass on some news on the belief on their discretion. And another point made by the second proposition speaker was that that people should not be given a platform, or they just simply shouldn't be given a platform to voice their opinion. So are you saying that they should not be given any right to speech at all? And even if you do, what do you think should be the steps taken by the social media platforms to give the user a handle or not? How do you decide? How do you think that should go about that? Social media platform should go about doing that. It is not practically possible. So, and again, as my second speaker stated, that there are many guidelines taken into account. There are verified accounts for that matter. WHO has a verified account on Instagram, Facebook, and various other websites on social media platforms. And people just need to have the discretion to like know which news to believe and which not to. It is simple logic that one should believe verified logical reasonings and from authorities, rather than just some stranger coming up to you and telling you that this so and so is the news.
Okay. Thank you so much. Your time is up and your points have been taken into consideration. Is there a point of order or a point of personal privilege whose opponent team would like to make? Okay. Thank you. With that, we move on to the final speech today. Prime Minister, you're ready to talk whenever you want.
Yeah. So can I start?
Sure.
Okay. So good morning, fellow speakers. Good afternoon, fellow speakers. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give my view to all the defenses provided by the opposition. So the opposition continuously used words such as neutral entities, and it is not our responsibility to show that social media is not responsible for the news spread there. But I would like you to go to Facebook's community guidelines page, and when you go there, you will find, and I quote, "We want to make sure that the content people are seeing on Facebook is authentic." So these are the exact lines. So on one side, you're saying that we take responsibility, and the other side, you are not taking responsibility. So this often leads to confusion to people. The second thing is you always sent it to the people. You kept telling that the wise people will stop fake news. You kept saying that it's the responsibility of the people to ensure that fake news doesn't go forward. Maybe it is, but a lot of times fake news is not because of it's because of misinterpretation, and or sometimes, and that's why sometimes it's not in the control of people. Third, I would like to say that you misquoted the member of the proposition government when you talked about him not giving a platform. He used the word easily. So he wants you to keep stronger guidelines to prevent the misuse of using fake news to change opinions. Third, in a deposition with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez last year in the United States, Mark Zuckerberg, again, he said that they will not check the truth in advertisements. So how isn't this hypocritical that one place they take responsibility to create an authentic platform, the other place they are taking millions and billions of dollars every year to post ads on their websites which they do not verify to make sure they're truth. I mean, imagine the impact it has on world elections and the economy. So we are not only talking about the news spread by little people. We are talking about the news spread by political organizations which they ignore and is false. Then another, you also said that people dodge the guidelines. So that's what we are saying. Make the guidelines a bit stricter. Last year in the United States, again, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she outlined a format of rules by which these guidelines could be made stronger. She also told, suggested an involvement of the government in help in preventing fake news. Both of these were declined by Facebook. So please, I mean, how does this make sense? So what I want to try to say is that social media is being hypocritical. Some days you want to take responsibility, other days you don't. And then in the end, it all comes down to us common people. A lot of times, a lot of us aren't literate enough to know where to take our information from. So in many countries, today 500 million Indians have
your time is up.
smartphones. Okay, can I have a concluding statement?
Yeah.
So 500 million Indians have smartphones, but not all of them have gone through a proper education. So where will this stop? When will the guidelines stop being extended just to earn more revenue for your company?
Okay. Thank you so much. Points have been noted. Is there a point of order or a point of personal privilege which the opponent team would like to make? Okay. Thank you so much. With that, we come to the end of the debate. It was nice having you guys. I'm pretty sure the judge has a lot of comments to give. Ma'am, your views?
That was a very interesting debate, and I can see you all come very well prepared. So I just want to make a few summations in the end. Ujay, for one, you must not read out. It's a debate. You have to be more extempore. So your points that you put together, your research, your data was excellent, but it has to be more extempore, not read out of a paper. Please note that for next time. And for you, I think you are trying to say that kill the message, not the messenger, right? That, I mean, you can't fault social media for the messages that are posted. You know, is that what you're trying to say in conclusion? I'm a little confused about what your conclusive statement is.
Yes, ma'am. My
Yeah.
conclusive statement is that I'm not saying to kill the message because, of course, everybody has the right to has the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that everybody should not be given such an as uh, my friends said that everybody should not be given such an easy platform to give out news or opinions that are related to some like sensitive
So
topics.
how do you restrict, whom do you give this app to then? I couldn't understand, what are you coming to a conclusion? Because, you know, that is what your conclusive statement has not been able to put it all together. And for the rest of you, my last tips are that please, all of you, make very precise points. Do it like a summary, you know, have a bullet point. So before you begin, you know, make sure that you have a summative introduction, and your cumulative statement should also be in bullet points, so that it just encapsulates the whole debate more precisely for all of you. When you go into a debating forum, please summate very conclusively. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Well done.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
now, like my conclusion was that the government should just give out stronger guidelines to the people.
Okay, so I didn't get that conclusion. The data was excellent, all of that was, but the conclusive statement didn't come out very strongly. Okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So
Ma'am, can I add on something? I had a point of order and I raised, but like you
Okay.
started speaking. I believe that after the rebuttal speech, in the rebuttal speech, the Prime Minister had mentioned that we had taken responsibility, but we also say that we aren't taking responsibility. I believe that the prime minister believes that accountability and responsibility are one and the same, which they are not. Accountability is different from responsibility. Responsibility does come under accountability, but responsibility is not complete accountability. And we have said that we have taken responsibility but not accountability. So I think that what he means is wrong. And
That's exactly why I asked them what is their conclusive statement.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, participant, you can't make a statement regarding the same. It's on the purview of the judge to consider the statement or not. But with that, thank you so much for taking part in the competition. We'll keep you up to date if you're getting selected in the best of 16 or not. You will come to know about the same by end of Tuesday. So stay in touch. Hope you have a great weekend. Take care, stay safe, and have a nice time. Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you, sir.
thank you, sir,
Thank you,
and
ma'am.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye. You can leave the
the teacher and the resources available with him or her can actually work on improving those resources rather than not focusing on all. The proposition talked about how testing creates an environment of stress and not relaxing. However, actually, it is proven that standardized tests are actually lower in number and often occur once or twice a year. Thus, the students are not faced with so many stress options. Whereas in schools or curriculums where there is a subjective test pattern, students are actually faced with more stress because there is a more number of tests frequently happening across the year. Now, we also need to understand that standardized testing provides guidelines for the curriculum and the schools to follow in the entire country. Now, this provides a uniform curriculum for the school teachers, and the classrooms are guided upon that only. They are guided, and the teacher knows what to teach the students and how to work with the students to teach them what will be coming in their test. Now, as we all know that standardized tests these days are tested on computers, thus they rule out all subjectivity and are totally objective, and either a student can be right or wrong. There is no interpretation of any other teacher. The proposition talked about the study of of James Poffman, who's a renowned educationist testing expert, who said that 60% of students actually face several problems and are STED. I feel that the proposition has actually misinterpreted the entire research, and they have left out the points that he has also left out in the positive effects of standardized testing that it has created across the nation. Yes, ma'am, I would like to take a POI.
Excuse me, dear opponent. The point is that I have a point of order over there. Well, we didn't say that 60% of the students found it difficult. We are saying that the creators of the test often take up questions which are difficult for 60% of the students. I believe you have misinterpreted that. And no, not the research.
Okay, thank you so much, participant. We'll take that into consideration. And
okay, can I continue? Because
yeah.
I thought that was a point of information. That's why I said.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, as I said, that they have misinterpreted the fact that 60% of the students are actually facing difficulties of the questions that are created by teachers. That's the exact way of saying what I just said. Now, actually, as I earlier said, over 90% of the students have actually felt that they are reliable way the standardized test can actually create a student's mindset and how he has to function. Even if they don't score a perfect score, they at least realize that where they are going wrong and where they need to work. Now, these tests are more predictable, and at least the students know that what's going to come in the question, and the questions are to the point and can be twisted and turned. Rather, in school tests, those are subjective tests, the students are often faced with questions that are twisted and turned and has to write the answer according to whatever prior knowledge he has, not even knowing the question. In standardized tests, there's a guided curriculum, and the student has to follow the guided curriculum and know what to write and what not to write. And with that, I would like to conclude my speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there points have been taken? Is there any other point of order, a point of personal privilege which the opponent team would like to state? Yeah.
One thing that has been misinterpreted by the opposition is that standardized tests also include the achievement tests, the ones that decide the capability of which are supposed to, which are perceived to decide the capability of student. They are in schools as well. Like the basic examinations that we get, they are also standardized tests. Standardized tests are nothing but the ones that have the same questions for all students. So there was a huge misinterpretation over there.
Okay, thank you so much. Your point of order will be taken under review. We're recording.
Can I clarify both the point of orders out if it is allowed?
No, it's not allowed. I'm really sorry, participant, but it's not allowed. It's on discretion of the judge. But anyway, recorded the whole thing, and the judge will be relooking over the point of order that's been posed, and we'll take it into consideration or not. Okay, thank you so much. With that, we'll move on to the member of the government. You can start whenever you're ready.
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
Start.
Every student can learn, just not the same day or the same way. George Evans. All students cannot learn as fast as the other, and each student has his or her own way of learning. A boy who was known as a failure to his teachers as he did not do well in his exams grew up to become a great scientist who invented a light bulb. We cannot imagine living in the dark, living in the world without the light bulb. This boy is none other than Thomas Alva Edison. He was called a failure, but he became one of the most successful scientists in our world. Students may not do very well in the pen and paper tests, but may have some other talent hidden in them. By these standardized tests, the different talents and the capacity of the students are suppressed. Standardized tests may help schools determine where a student lies on the education spectrum, but they do not accurately represent every student's full potential, depending on their true abilities. Every student is an individual with his or her own talents and skills. A child may be an excellent sportsman, a singer, a dancer, or an artist. For this reason, not all students excel in the same subject. There are also negative effects of these tests. Many believe that tests put academic pressure on students, particularly children. These standardized tests lead to poor self-confidence, anxiety, and taking away students' creativity. Children doing poorly in tests can change their perspective towards their school experience, and this sometimes forces them to drop out from schools. Stress from standardized tests can lead to poorer health, negative feelings towards schools and learning. Students begin to question their ability and self-esteem when they compare themselves with others performing well in tests. Even students who perform well academically may recite information and get marks, but have little ability to apply it to their lives. Instead of these tests, assessing a child's capacity should be in such a way that we get to know how much the child has understood and learned. This can be done by using technology and different activities to make the concepts clear and assess them. As the standardized tests do not bring out the true self of a child, I conclude saying standardized tests are not effective way to measure the capacity of a child.
Okay, thank you so much, participant. Is there a point of order or a point of personal privilege which the opponent would like to state?
There's a point of order. Normal tests or tests in general have been mixed with standardized tests. So there's a point of order. Their base argument was how tests create a sense of pressure and all, but tests are a really wide that's a really wide concept. Many things come under that, and specifically the topic at hand is standardized tests.
Okay, so you're stating that it's gone outside the purview of a standardized test.
Yeah, so they're criticizing tests as a whole. They're not criticizing standardized tests only.
Okay, we'll take that into review. Thank you so much for taking into consideration.
So something, can I start?
Uh, it's yeah, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Alright. So what the standardized tests do is they remove any scope of subjectivity. One, in terms of the student, and two, in terms of the teacher. Why in terms of the student is very simple, because sometimes people might know something, they might understand the concept, but their expression of those very ideas isn't as precise or as concise as the teachers might want them to be, right? So many children might know what they're being tested on, but might not be able to express it. So this is eliminated by standardized tests, because most standardized test patterns are on the basis of MCQs or single one word or one line answers rather than long paragraphs or passages, right? This is the first thing. The second thing is the marking scheme is based on a curve that is formed by using an algorithm that is formed every year on the basis of the toughness of the questions and on the amount of questions that have been left by each student. This is something that is done in the ACT, GRE, and many more competitive exams. This removes subjectivity on the side of the teacher. How it does that is because at school might very well know what a student, how a student is in talking, or how a teacher might even have a grudge against a specific student, right? But all that is completely eliminated when we come to a standardized test. Now, the proposition repeatedly stated how standardized tests are not good and there should be technology or other ways, but not even once have they stated any other way of actually checking one's intelligence. And why one's intelligence needs to be checked is to understand how a person is grasping the concepts. It is also, we're living in the 21st century where competition is a big thing. There is a lot of competition. People there's a lot of competition nowadays, and people are fighting for jobs, people are fighting for everything. So there needs to be a certain judging criteria to check in their field of work. So they talked about how singers or artists might not be good at something, but we fail to realize that standardized tests are often very specific. Like there's standardized tests for engineering maybe, or there's standardized tests for law, and it is not necessary that artists, dancers, etc. have to give those tests, right? And unlike the normal curriculum based tests, which happen 4 times a year, and some of them may even hold a student back in a specific class. Unlike that, the standardized tests can occur quite a few times, right? Another thing that we need to understand is that they help students to deal with pressure, right? They help students to answer questions in a specific period of time. Stanford research talks about the importance of fast thinking as compared to slow thinking. So slow thinking is reflective thinking, like long essays or research papers. But even equally important is fast thinking, thinking on your toes, even thinking at the time of pressure when the questions are like, there are a lot of questions, but there is very little time. The first thing. The second thing is that the mugging up, which is a big problem in normal tests, is not a very big problem in standardized tests, considering the fact that a person cannot know what questions might come. He can know what sort of questions might come. And the only way to actually ace these tests is to go ahead, follow a strategy, follow a disciplined pattern and plan, and implement that on the day of the paper, right? Another thing that needs to be understood is that even if we take into consideration that these aren't the perfect measurement criteria for intelligence, I would like to ask the opposition, what is the perfect criteria for intelligence? There will always be a scope of error, but it brings it to the most concise and precise way of checking one's intelligence, one's way of dealing with pressure, one's way of imbibing discipline. So basic 3 things that are present in almost all competitive exams and standardized tests are arithmetic, writing, and reading. These are the basic factors involved that even develop the cognitive abilities of a person. They are required so that a person even lives a healthy life. So it's not that one has to mug up, but just understand the concepts and go ahead and do them, right?
I'm sorry, presenter. I'm sorry. The time is up. We've reached the mark. We've taken the points into consideration. Thank you so much. There was a point of information that was raised. I'm pretty sorry. I'm really sorry. The one that you raised after the 3-minute mark won't be taken into consideration, but one that you raised in the middle will be taken into consideration. You may ask the same.
Yes. The opposition member of opposition stated that we did not mention any way in which we can prove, some other effective method. So I had mentioned it in my speech, and my teammate as well has mentioned it in her speech. We did mention that we can have a stealth assessment based examinations, and we can also have portfolio assessments. So I think you did not take that into notice. So that's it.
That a point of
How is
order?
this a point of information?
Order. I just wrote point of our order. So
Okay.
what is there some sort of
Okay.
a
Just notice that the point of order, please wait till the very end of the speech. Only if you have a point
okay,
of,
sorry, okay.
you get to ask in the first, between.
So I have a point. I have actually a doubt. If so generally when we have points of orders, they are based upon factual inaccuracies.
Yeah.
And most of these points of order are being raised upon misinterpretation or subjective things that we have quoted or said.
Exactly.
So
Don't worry about it. I understand how it's going. We don't want to give you an answer right away. I understand how a point of order needs to be considered. So we'll be taking into consideration all the recordings and we'll be reviewing the same to give a verdict in the end. But as of now, this is more like a statement which they haven't mentioned. You can just clearly state it out in the rebuttal. But we
right.
will be considering this from our purview. But still, since I'm not the judge, I'm just a moderator. We'll still be reviewing it in the end. With ma'am will be taking a look at it, and she'll be reviewing it when she's taking the marks. Okay. Thank you so much. With that, we end the session of argumentative statements. We move on to the rebuttals. Uh, let me know that the point of interest and point of information cannot be applied in the rebuttal round. It can only be a point of order, a point of personal privilege. It's for 3 minutes. You cannot bring up new facts. All the facts that you need to state in the rebuttal needs to be in the purview of the discussion that we've had as of now. And all the best. Whenever the leader of the opposition party is ready, we can start with the rebuttal.
Yeah, just a second. Yeah, I'm ready now.
You can start.
Okay. So I think throughout this debate, what we have understood is that the proposition has actually failed to understand what standardized tests are, and have confused them with normal school or local tests that are conducted by an organization or entity. Now, what standardized tests are a test that is based for it's a common application test for many students across a region or across an entire country. It helps put students on an equal level with equal and equivalent content for all students to test them at a uniform benchmark. Now, what the proposition is saying that it actually forces them to mug up or forces them to just rote learn and write down all the answers. Whereas I feel that it is actually the opposite what is happening. In normal tests that are conducted by schools or local authorities, we feel like there are essays and long paragraph questions, whereas we can actually mug up and write the entire question. But in this an MCQ, the question though is predictable, but it is not certain that it is going to come. Whereas in subjective tests, it is more predictable to come. As we previously stated, it actually eliminates all subjectivity that is involved in testing and actually gives students a way to come up and say. Now, let's take an example for the subjective tests that happen in our own country, class 10th and 12th boards. We all know how they fare out. Now, as it can be seen, marks are often monetized by the institutions that are conducting these marks. And as a result, so many students gain more than 90% of the marks, which in a practical scenario is not possible. Now, when this happens, student feels that he is intelligent as he has scored more than 90% of the marks, which actually were not even deserving to him. They might be, but most in the case, as we have seen news reports, marks are monetized. Now, this gives a false sense of intelligence and pride. Now, this forces the student with the pressure accompanied with the society to take subjects that are actually not in his criteria and are actually not his favorite. For example, we can also see the highest marks that are often seem to get subjects like the sciences instead of humanities or commerce. And when they start doing it, they actually realize that they are not capable of doing it. But with the society's pressure, they continue to do that and actually waste in their months or years doing the subjects that they do not like and cannot do. Now, this can also be assessed in a case of many other exams where we know that students who secured the highest marks did not even know how to speak the language or write or know what the entire subject was, because they just mucked up and wrote the entire answers. These tests that in our country itself have created an environment of rote learning, and thus children are actually rote learning even languages like English and Hindi, which essentially need to be learned and understood by the person. If he was being tested on reading, writing, then at least the person would know the language and understand what the basic concepts are going into him, and how to read and analyze every statement that is there. It will not force him to mug it up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take points have been noted. Is there a point of order or a point of personal privilege which the opponent would like to state? Oh.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll move on to the Prime Minister to make the ending statements. We're ready. You can start whenever you're ready.
Yes, just a second. All right. Standardized tests are not a boon. When it comes to written tests, people can express themselves and understand the concepts properly and write it in their own words. This gives a scope for us to judge the student's capability, unlike standardized tests. And also, I'd like to mention that the opposition had a confusion within themselves, because one of the speakers said that standardized tests in standardized tests, you know what is coming and you can prepare for it, whereas the next speaker said that in standardized tests you don't know what is coming. So there was a point of confusion over there as well. And coming to the basic definition of standardized test, it is a test that is administered and scored in a consistent or a standard manner. Okay, so there can be different types of standardized tests, and the ones that you get in school, they are achievement-based standardized tests. And MCQ might be one part of standardized tests, but there are various other ones which are still there in our school systems, and we are not confused with that. So when it comes to non-standardized tests, we come to see that children have a scope of expressing themselves, and this kind of reduces their anxiety and stress when it comes to them. And in standardized tests, you are heads over your heels and you don't know what to do. So this is how I'd like to conclude my debate, saying that standardized tests are not a boon, and they're a bane to education system. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there a point of order or a point
Yes. So it was stated how we were confused, but we didn't say that. So the first person said that the pattern can be checked, and the other person said that only the pattern can be checked and not the questions. The questions can never be known. That is what we said.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll take it into review. We'll let you know the same. With that, we end the debate. Thank you so much, participants. We hope you had a great experience with the debate. Ma'am, your comments regarding the debate, do you have?
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I listened to all of you, and this is my feedback for each one of you. Ila, I don't think you have set the motion in order. It's very confusing. Your understanding of what is a standardized test is coming out as very muffled. Are you trying to say that they should be objective? What is the purpose of a standardized test? What are the alternatives of a standardized test, and how should they be implemented? It's just too confusing. It's not coming out clearly. So when you open the motion, first define what you think is a standardized test. Who is it taken for? Which are the tests that you don't feel are, come into this preview, what comes into the preview of a standardized test, how should they be conducted, and why shouldn't they be conducted, it's just extremely confusing. So I suggest my suggestion to you is that you need to put a little more research into your argument. It's too fluffy. Just put it all together. Have you put down points before coming onto the table?
Yes, ma'am.
You have. So what is your definition of a standardized test?
Ma'am, a standardized test is a test that is administered or scored in a consistent or standard manner. So,
who is it scored for? Give us a few examples.
Okay, ma'am. So when it comes to standardized tests, they are defined in a certain way, and all the questions are the same, and it is not based on the students' understanding, and does not define each student's is not based on each student's understanding. So it's like
See, in one place you mentioned that because they are so objective, that a person cannot show their creativity or a deeper understanding. Okay, it's just not very precise, Ila. Okay, now Gauri, I liked what you said, but you were reading out of a paper. You have to be extempore. You can't read out of a paper on a debate. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am. I was just referring.
No, it came out as you're reading. And another thing is, my tip to you is that please be more confident when you talk. Come out as a lot more energetic. You're coming across as a little underconfident, and your dialogue is a bit sing-song. Okay, your content is very well put. It's the best content in the entire teams. But I feel that you need to be more articulate, be more extempore, and not more so sing-song in your dialogue delivery.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Pradyuman, your facts also are not very clear. I don't think they have so much gravitas as they should. And none of you are giving me bullet points. None of you are summarizing the whole thing in a cumulative, conclusive statement. You need to be more precise. Standardized debates are good because of 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the way you should be able to come forth. Arya, I thought you were very good, but don't be so aggressive.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah, it just seems I'm aggressive. I don't know.
Yeah. So
Sorry about that.
right, make a point of that don't come across as aggressive. It takes away it takes away the impact of all that you put together. It's like you're demeaning the others.
I'm sorry.
But yes, you were very precise. I liked the way you debated. It was very well put. Okay? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
All your point of orders will be taken into review and we'll mark accordingly. Thank you so much for taking part in the event, and we'll let you know by Tuesday, end of Tuesday, if you're into the top 16. Until then, take care, stay safe, and enjoy your weekend today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good debate.
Thank you. Lots of points.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys can leave the debate.
Have a good day.
You have the Prime Minister on video? Okay. Thank you so much. Can we have the member of the government on video, please? Thank you so much. And can we have both the opposition party leader and member of the opposition party on video, please? Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Welcome all to the Compass Online Parliamentary Debate. It's great to have such bright minds like you on our platform and debating out where you can actually create an impact regarding the same. Uh, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Rishabh Amarnath. I'm co-founder of Compass Career Discoverers, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. We are having, I'd like to introduce your judge now, who's ma'am Kiran Rai ma'am. She's a established, yeah, she's an established author. She's taken part in many debates during her own school life, and she's also art curator, and she also has her own startup, has her own organization to say. She's educated a lot of debates in various universities all over the country, and we're really lucky to have her over to judge your event as well. Thank you so much, ma'am, for having us.
You're welcome. Welcome all of you.
And with that, I would like to conclude the introduction, and I want to go inside. I wanted you guys to let you know about some instructions as to how the debate will happen, so that you guys are aware of the same, and then we can continue with the debate. Okay. So the first thing is I would like to let you guys know about the procedure of the debate. First, we start off with the Prime Minister, moving on to the leader of the opposition party. Then we'll have the member of the government. Then we'll have a member of the opposition party. Then we'll have 2 rounds of debate, starting with the leader of the opposition party and then ending with the Prime Minister. For the first 4 speeches, you have 4 minutes each per presenter, and for the rebuttal, you have 3 minutes per presenter. Apart from that, you have 3 points which you need to take into consideration. One is the point of personal privilege. In this case, whether if you want to drink water or if you want to go to the washroom or your internet connectivity is bad and you want to take some time to get fixed again, you can call for a point of personal privilege and we'll stop the timer or we'll wait for you to get yourself organized again. In terms of the second one is it's called point of order. In the case where if the opponent team is making a statement which is factually wrong or is going out of the purview of the topic motion that you're discussing over, you can call for a point of order after the speech is over. I will be stating if there is any point of order or a point of personal privilege, and you can call out if you have raise your hand if you have a point of order regarding the same. Third one, last but not the least, is a point of information. This is where you get to ask questions during the speech. You can ask questions to a presenter after 1 minute of the speech and before the 3-minute mark of the speech. If you raise your hands before the 1 minute mark and after the 3-minute mark, it would not be taken under consideration and they would not have to answer for the POI. Now to mark the 1 minute and the 3-minute mark, I'll be showing you 1 and 3 on video to know the same. Apart from that, we'll also be playing this sound of a bell to denote that the 1 minute mark and the 3-minute mark. Okay, I'm sure you guys heard the bell. So, that will also be rung along with me showing the numbers. Please note that you need to raise your hand on video to call for a point of information. You cannot call for a point of order. You can only call for a point of order after the speech is done. Now for a point of information, when you raise your hand, this is the sound that will be rung. Denote the tone. So the buzzer sound will be played to denote there's a point of information. Or I request the presenter to at least take hold of the raise of hands or the sound to notice that there's a point of information that's been raised. You can either say yes or no. Yes, in the sense I'll pause the timer, you get to answer the question, and then I'll start the timer again where you can continue with your statement. And if you say no, you can wait for the speech to get over, your 4 minutes to get over, and then the question can be asked to the presenter. Okay. In case that the presenter has not noticed both the buzzer and the raise of hands, we'll take it up at the end of the speech. Okay. That is called the point of order. Now, apart from that, there's one other sound that will be played after the end of the 4-minute mark. This will be the sound that's being played. Okay. This will denote that the 4-minute mark is over and you need to stop your speech. Okay. Any questions regarding the same? Cool. Perfect. With that, ma'am, can we start across with the debate? Everything's okay? Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. If the Prime Minister is ready, She can start whenever she wants.
Okay, so I'll be starting. Good afternoon and namaste to everyone present here. I'm Vedika Kutyan, and my team will be presenting or arguing on the motion that artificial intelligence is a threat to human employment. Artificial intelligence is not new, but this time it's different. Cognitive systems and AI are innovative accelerations. There is no question that AI machine or machine learning will change the way we live or the way we work. There are notable concerns regarding the forthcoming impact of AI on employment and the workforce. Our team will be discussing how these technological innovations in AI can affect employment and tell these impacts have significantly greater negative impact than a positive one. Humanity should fear advances in artificial intelligence. That is, artificial intelligence can affect the human employment in a way by directly displacing workers from the jobs which they're already in. So, they will previously performing and ultimately negatively impact our labor market. I would like to quote Tom Kilopoulos: "The real shift we will when computers think in a way we can't even begin to understand." I unquote. This possesses as a warning for potential change of superintelligence. The concern has also been expressed by Bill Gates in an article on quads, where he expresses saying that first, the machines will do a lot of job and not be super intelligent, which is a positive note only if we manage it well. Elon Musk has also quoted in The Guardian an article that artificial intelligence is our highest existential threat. As AI improves, it will supplant workers, creating an ever-growing pool of unemployable humans who cannot compete economically with machines. Autonomy is a key issue that people are especially concerned about. That is, despite having proposals to have driverless cars, autonomous weapons, or automated surgical assistants, AI systems should never be fully autonomous because, by definition, a fully autonomous system is one that we have no control over. That is, we cannot have a control over it, which is by reference to the Business Insider. And I don't think we ever want such a situation where the robots are out of control. And many fear that advances in AI will result in certain jobs becoming totally obsolete, which is a point to remark. A period of high unemployment in which millions of people are incapable of getting jobs and they do not have necessary skills to cope with AI will be our reality if we don't adequately prepare. We know that machines are far better than human at physical tasks, such as they can move faster, they can work more precisely, lift more heavier loads, and moreover, they can become more intelligent as us, and there is nothing they can't do, cannot learn to do quickly. Therefore, 99% of jobs will eventually be eliminated, leading to drastic unemployment rates. The transition could be very painful for everyone. It's no secret that rising unemployment due to AI has a negative impact on society. Higher crime rates and poverty are all correlated. And that's my wordings. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The opponent team, we're really sorry. We won't be taking your point into consideration because you raised your hands after the 3-minute mark. So we won't be taking that into consideration. Really sorry. But if there's any point of order or point of personal privilege which you'd like to raise, we're open to that. No? Okay, fine. Thank you so much, presenter. We'll move on to the next speaker, who's the leader of the opposition party. You can start whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, all. I'm against the motion that artificial intelligence is a threat to human employability. Time and again, we have heard necessity is the mother of invention by the great Plato. AI was introduced to make humans' life easier and more efficient. So the first and foremost thing is we cannot perceive artificial intelligence as a threat without having known a deep functionality of its architecture. It's a phenomenon which didn't occur naturally but built by humans itself. Machines may be able to detect differential patterns swiftly and accurately, but humans will always be the creator of unlimited patterns driven by external or internal observations. We always look for the loopholes, but we also must consider that in certain aspects, AI is already helping in business, lifestyle, health, performance, etc. Google AI is one such example which records your desired search terms, location, chat, and browsing history and suggesting potentially desired products. It is playing a major role in e-commerce by suggesting customer needs and sales patterns. AI is
Sorry, team, we can't hear you.
I can't hear anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you try speaking?
Yes, sir. Actually, I had the point of personal privilege.
Okay. Yeah. What is it? Do you want us to wait?
It's a network issue.
Okay. We can wait. I'm pause your timer. You can come back. Okay. Can you start now? You want to start again, or you want us to wait?
I'll resume or start it from beginning.
You can resume if you wish to.
Will I start again?
Yeah, you can start again. Start from the beginning. It's okay.
She just resume.
Okay.
Where you left us, you can resume from there.
Okay, so just a second.
Participants, what seems to be the issue?
So it was a network issue. Okay, I'll resume.
Okay, please go ahead. If you feel that there's a connectivity issue with the same, you can turn off your video and continue if you want.
Okay. Google AI is one such example which records your desired search terms, location, chat, and browsing history, and suggesting potentially desired products. It is playing a major role in e-commerce by suggesting customers' needs and sales pattern. AI is covering our personal data, flight schedule, cloud-based financial transaction, AI control nuclear plants, GPS-mediated vehicles, and all are making a difference. AI is all about what is fed into the system. It cannot think of its own or create new ideas. It has certain limitations. While my friends believe that AI is a threat to human employability, she should get the fact that AI creates more job opportunities instead of taking away employment. Like, if I take an example of a robot, if it suffers technical issues, the ultimatum is only one and only the humans who will mend it. Hence, this can potentially suggest that humans will always be one step ahead of artificial intelligence. It has certain limitations which is set by us. It has borrowed intelligence from humans, and also the machine is only bounded by the provided knowledge. So artificial intelligence is not a threat to human employability because they are the only one who can create, maintain, and improve AI systems. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there points have been taken into consideration? Is there a point of order or a point of personal privilege which the opponent team would like to claim? No? Okay, fine. Moving on, can we have the member of the government speak whenever you're ready?
Yes. Namaste to the members of the parliament. I thank Madam Prime Minister Vedika for her stance regarding that our house believes that that artificial intelligence is a threat to the human unemployability. Continuing with her thoughts, I, Samanyuta, undoubtedly believe that increasing dominance of robots in workplaces is sure to increase the level of unemployment in the nation also. Reliance on the robot for the smallest of chores will make the human brain feeble. Take, for example, our very own Alexa. Just imagine its impact in our daily lives. How lazy has it made us? In this world where the youths are struggling and toiling to get employed for their daily breads, robots could make matters worse. Imagine having robots conversing with humans, wherein the person wastes his time trying to make the robot understand what he actually expects from that piece of technology. Robots need a large capital, maintenance, power, etc., whereas humans don't. When robots immediately do all the work and man just sits and monitors them, then it would cause health hazards and make a man's life idle. If an AI-based diagnosis fails to detect the actual illness of the patient, who would be held responsible for it? The programmer, or is it the artificial intelligence itself? Humans agree to work at much lower power, lower income as compared to heavy costs required to hire robots, which will affect the company's profit. The challenges that AI before the Indian policy makers is philosophical, technical, and ethical. It takes us to do away with traditional, linear, and non-disruptive thinking. With these thoughts, I would like to end with a quote by Madam Amy Webb, professor of strategic foresight at New York University. I quote, "We need to address a difficult truth that few are willing to utter it aloud. AI will eventually cause a large number of people to permanently be out of work." I unquote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, presenter. We have a point of information that was being raised in the middle. You can state, the opponent team can state the question.
Actually, the member of parliament said that that robots are getting out. That robots are getting a lot of maintenance to work, but they are also making our work easier. So, how can you justify that?
The present.
That question, please. I couldn't hear you properly. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. She said that the robots need a lot of maintenance, so they also make our work easier. So how can she justify that?
You're saying the maintenance cost over this thing, yet it makes it easier. How can she? Okay, so she has made such a statement, is what you're stating.
Yes, she said that robots need a lot of maintenance, so I asked that they also make our work easier.
Okay.
So how can she justify herself? That's my question.
Would you like to answer this?
Yeah. So like the robots need a lot of maintenance and the human capital, and a lot of power, and making of a robot is not an easy task. Like it has so many equipments in it, so making it will and maintaining it is like a difficult task for us.
But when when we develop it, it will like our country will be more developed and it will be at the top. So like it is good for us. It will obviously take time.
Understand? No, no, you we won't take.
Okay.
It's not a point of information or a point of order, so that won't be taken into consideration.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. We can move ahead to the next speaker. We can have the member of the opposition party whenever she's ready.
Our intelligence is what makes us human, and artificial intelligence is an extension of that quality. Good afternoon to one and all present here. Today I stand against the topic for today's debate, that is artificial intelligence is a threat to human employability. Now after hearing this, one question comes in our mind, that will artificial intelligence make really the workplace a colder place, ruled by intelligence without interpersonal skills and eventually lead to job destruction? No, artificial intelligence will make the workplace more human, not less. This is the gift of AI to mankind. The integration of AI into the workplace will come through augmentation of human skills rather than substitution of jobs. Artificial intelligence in fact, does not automate jobs. It automates certain skills in jobs. Artificial intelligence will have a supportive role to humans, that is empowering the human factor to perform better in handling complex and critical situations which require judgments and creative thinking. Parallel to this, there would be numerous new roles, specialities with a focus on technology and science. There will be a stream of new business opportunities empowering a culture of entrepreneurship, creativeness, and innovation. In the Terminator series, a military AI called Skynet becomes self aware and begins using military hardware to attack humans. Now, this kind of scenario drastically underestimates how much machines depend on human beings to keep them working. A modern economy consists of millions of different kinds of machines that perform a variety of specialized functions. While a growing number of these machines are automated to some extent, virtually all of them depend on humans to supply power and raw materials, repair them when they break, manufacture more when these wear out, and so forth. So ultimately, artificial intelligence follows human brain and human labor, and yet my opponent member will say that artificial intelligence poses a threat to human employability. The best performance, in fact, will be achieved through collaboration between humans and machines. A good example is cancer identification. According to Harvard research, AI algorithms can read diagnostic scans with a 92% accuracy. Humans can do it with a 96% accuracy. Together, 99%. This human-machine collaboration will create a large number of new jobs, which leverage mainly quantitative reasoning skills as well as knowledge of specific digital and artificial intelligence technologies. For example, analytic HRs will use analytics to spot talent trends and to create and implement business innovation and talent management strategies. So I would like to conclude saying that artificial intelligence is not a threat, but a boon to human employment. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Points have been taken into consideration. There is a point of information that was raised in the middle. The opponent team can raise a question.
So you said that artificial intelligence, like a 96% accuracy is by the humans, and how much percent did you say for the robotics?
It's 92%.
92%. So I would like to say that like if the robot doesn't find a correct mistake, like correct illness in the patient, and who would you blame that for? Like, will you blame the this one artificial intelligence, or will you blame the programmer?
Mm, See, you are basically saying that the if ultimately any problem arises for the check for the accuracy report, then who will be blamed? So if it suffers technical issues, the ultimatum is only and only the humans who will mend it. So that this can potentially suggest that human will always be one step ahead of artificial intelligence. So thank you. I think I've answered your question.
Okay, thank you so much. With that, we come to the end of the first argumentative debate. We move on to the rebuttal. Just a few instructions before we move on to the rebuttal. There won't be a point of information that can be called upon during the rounds of rebuttal. There can only be a point of order or a point of personal privilege that can be called during the rebuttal. You have 3 minutes each. You cannot call, all the facts that have been stated in the debate alone can be stated. There can be no new facts that can be put across in light in terms of a debate. I'm sorry, when it comes to the rebuttal. So we start across with the leader of the opposition party whenever she is ready.
First of all, I would like to make it clear to my opponent that, as she said, that robots take a lot of time. As we know that we in NASA or in our own Indian organization, we make rockets for going to space, or it also takes a lot of time. It is not in a few months or in a few years. So how can she say that? It will not take time. Obviously, some development is needed and it will take time. And my second point is that the opponent also said that it is growing a lot of unemployment. I guess developing artificial intelligence is creating more job opportunities, and also economic progress is growing very much, and it is on a wide scale. And the second thing she said that like Alexa, which has made us easy. It's us humans only which had made it for making our lives easier. So thus I conclude that artificial intelligence is for our benefit and for our increasing efficiency. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Points have been noted. Is there any point of order or a point of personal privilege which the opponent team would like to state? Okay, no. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the conclusion speech made by the Prime Minister whenever you're ready.
Okay. So, my opposition stated that architecture and built by humans itself, but still, when we take robots into work, obviously we as humans we will not be left with any work, and even though the low classes, they usually will not be having the much skills of programming a robot. So in that way, they large percentage of our country will obviously be unemployed. And then I would and obviously when it comes to the so I would like to conclude that saying that I would like to conclude with a quote from Andrew Ng, a co-founder and lead of Google Brain. The biggest harm that AI is likely to do to individuals in the short term is job displacement, as the amount of work we can automate with AI is vastly larger than before. As leaders, it is incumbent on all of us to make sure we are building a world in which every individual has an opportunity to thrive. I unquote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Points have been noted. Is there any point of order that needs to be claimed? Okay, Thank you so much, participants. With that, we come to the end of the debate. We'll be posting across the results if you guys have made it the top of best of 16 on Tuesday evening. You can take a note of that. Ma'am, any comments regarding the same? Any tips on how they can be doing things better? Ma'am, you're muted. Ma'am, you're muted. You're muted.
Okay, girls, very impressed with all of you. I can see you've all put in a lot of work and a lot of data, a lot of information. And I'm quite impressed with the all-girls team. So yay to the girl power. But now let me give you my feedback for each one of you. Vedika and Kritika, you are going to lose a lot of marks for reading out of a paper. You cannot read out of a paper on a debate platform. When you're quoting, it's understandable if you read the quote out of a paper. But when you are talking and putting forth your points, you cannot read out of a paper. Okay? So, Kritika and Vedika, next debate, you have to drop the paper completely. Samanyuta, I think you did a good job. You're a little tentative and still a little nervous, but I think you took the rebuttals very well. You understood what they're saying and the conclusion that who is to be blamed? Will it for something going wrong? I think you summed it up very well. And Anushri, I think you've also done a good job. You put all the points together. But I want to give you guys one tip on how you talk about culminating a debate. So this is what you would do. All those who are on pros for AI would say this. One second, I've just made some notes. Let me just read them out. Okay. The pros would be less wear and tear, rational decision maker, application in medical, law, industry, accurate decision making, selfless with no breaks. The cons would be incurs high costs, leads to unemployment, no improvement with experience, lacks in creativity. So please put your pros and cons, your points in the end should be like that in bullets. Okay, that makes it very easy for your opponents to understand what you're saying, for the judges, and you'll score a lot better. So your your culmination has to have bullet points in it. Everybody's understood that? Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Really great advice. I would say that's one of the most important advice you need to give whenever you're taking a presentation or doing a debate to say is that keep it precise, like ma'am said, keep all the topics in place, make a pros and cons list. That's the best way you can make a very effective presentation at the end of the day. You will also make use of the whole time that you have rather than stopping in the middle. Or even when you're stopping in the middle, the whole idea will be conveyed in one image. With that, thank you so much for participating, participants. We'll keep you updated regarding the same. Hope you have a safe weekend and take care. We'll keep you updated soon. You can all leave the meeting.
Thank you.